Hello, dickheads. How are you? Couple of days off, as you do. Got pissed up for the England game. It was still shit. Even drunk, it was fucking terrible. Clearly, I must have gone for cheesy chips as well, because I typed that literally in the Discord and woke up the next day and didn't remember typing that or eating cheesy chips. So I don't even know if that happened. Given the fucking... I mean, I'll be honest with you. Violence the pungent violence of the farts I was producing the next day, I think I probably did. But whew, grim times is all I'll say.
The gambling industry. I know Alex Davies-Jones gets to know about the gambling industry. Hi Kev, how you doing? It's good to be back.
Yes, well, I'm glad that you are back. Now that you're back outside of the EU again, do you feel more free?
Get some help.
I can feel. I can feel the sovereignty like engulfing me. You know,
Yeah.
I feel I can surround it. I'm drowning in sovereignty.
You really are, yeah. I mean, honestly, did you use a blue passport?
No, I still
Well-
have my maroon passport.
Well, what's the point then? If you're not going to indulge in Brexit benefits, what is the purpose of existence? Really?
No, I mean to be fair, at one point I'll become the manager, the governor of the Bank of England, and I can use our single Brexit benefit of being able to do monetary financing of government deficits. But until that day happens, I will be yet to see my Brexit benefits personally.
Yeah, they're not even going to go back to the old pint pots or anything. Rubbish.
I know, right? Also, apparently some of my chat went to a disability hustings in their constituency and found some really fucking mental Reform UK people. Like, I've been spending so much time attacking Labour, and obviously that's going to continue happening on this channel. Like, we do need to have discussion about just how racist the current Labour Party leadership is, because I was away when the Martin Ford stuff dropped.
Well, we'll get into it. I mean, I don't know if you saw the actual debate yesterday, but there's already a person of Bangladeshi extraction who has resigned from the Tower Hamlets Labour Party, a councillor there, because of it.
Poplar and Limehouse, yeah.
Yeah, he's basically doing what used to be back before political correctness really took off, a thing called P-word bashing. I won't say the P-word. That the Labour Party seems to want to engage in order to win over 6 white people in Chipping Norton or wherever the fuck. It's very odd. Very odd. Yeah. Anyway, how was your hollybobs?
It was great. I had a great time. It was very, very hot. One day got to 40 degrees, I think. So it was very warm.
That is extraordinary. That's even warmer than it was here. And it was sweltering here, to be fair.
Yeah, I think the lowest temperature we had was about 33 degrees in terms of like peak temperature in a day. So it was very hot all week. We had no clouds until the very last day. It was very, very hot. I turned my Twitter onto private and I was like, I'm staying away from politics. And I did so for like 3 days. I had like some segments uploaded already to YouTube, so people to tide them over. But then stupid shit is happening. And I was like, no, I can't stay. I have to tweet about it. I can't not. Things are so dumb. I have to tweet about it. So I then spend my time on the beach, still paying attention to UK politics. It's weird having a job where I was really desperate to get back and start working again because this has been so funny.
It has been, honestly. The banter timeline on it is spectacular. As I predicted, the betting scandal has gotten a little bit fucking mental, and it's difficult to keep track of exactly who is or is not. A fucking shareholder in William Hill, apparently. I don't even fucking know what's going on here. Which we'll get into, I suppose, as we go along. Yeah.
I wonder when Mazar Majid is going to come out.
For me, look, my personal highlight of all of this is Philip Davies MP, for old frogs of mine will know. He spoke at a men's rights conference back in the day, and I covered this. This was 7 or 8 years ago now, I think.
Real anti-feminist type. He was basically like the Saga Nevakad that actually became a politician rather than just failing to become
basically
one.
So, yes, basically so. Turns out he has placed £8,000, so not even like a joke amount. He's placed £8,000 bet on himself to lose.
It sounds like insider trading to me.
Sounds a little bit, my friend, like a cheeky bit of fraud, is what I'm suggesting. If you have a financial vested interest in not doing the thing, and you have promised the political party that you will, and they spend a lot of money on you, because you are a target seat, he has a majority of about 7,000, so it's definitely a seat that they would be looking to win in a normal year. Not that it is a normal year, but you get the idea. It sounds to me like he may have defrauded the Conservative Party, and indeed, because of parliamentary expenses and all the rest of it, the public purse out of a significant amount of money. You cheeky minx. Anyway, we'll see which parts of the gambling act everyone's fucking broken. But yeah, that story just rumbles and rumbles, and it's starting to get it's starting to get the feel a little bit of MP's expenses. It's starting to get that kind of
really
almost
is.
like all-pervasive shittery, and people are like, Why the fuck are they all doing this? What? How has this been allowed to happen?
Actually, but the real worst part about all of this, of course, like the Tories are completely corrupt. We all know it. Like, welcome to, you better shit in woods. Tories going to be corrupt. But the worst part about all of this, there was one of the Labour MPs or Labour PPCs that got stung with this, was a guy from Central Suffolk, I think. His name was Kevin something. I forget what his surname was. But he got caught placing a bet against himself. It was a really kind of small
Suffolk
bet.
and North Ipswich.
That's why, yeah. He was Kevin Maguire. Kevin Maguire, I think was his name. He got...
No, that's the journalist. That's the Mirror head politics journalist.
Okay, yeah. There's loads of Kevins around anyway.
Yeah, too fucking many. Yeah.
Too many. There's only one true Kevin.
Exactly.
Only one true Kevin. Yeah, and it's Kevin Morton in my chat.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, there's this guy from Central Suffolk and North Ipswich placed very kind of small bets against himself to win. Labour immediately withdrew their support from his candidacy. And turns out, this reported ages ago by Open Democracy and Michael Crick, but no one really picked up on it. Turns out, this guy donated £100,000 to the Labour Party.
Yep.
So they've given that back to him,
Yep.
and turns out that he was imposed by the NEC as a candidate. So this scandal of Gamblegate.
Yeah. Go on, sorry, go on.
It's just this just completely overshone the fact. This cash for candidacy is going on in the background here. Like, I'm sorry, I couldn't give a shit about some people using insider information to scam some bookies. Like, bookies are a bunch of bellends anyway. I can give a shit. But this guy's fucking using 6 figures to buy his candidacy. Why isn't this in the report? Why is no one reporting this?
Exactly.
What's going on?
Everyone's like, he placed I think it was £100 bet or something. So it's not even that big a deal, right? And he said he was going to charity. No, it wasn't, mate. You were going to keep that money. Don't be fucking silly. We're not mugs. But the bigger story is, he gave £100,000, lot of money, a fucking lot of money, to the Labour Party. Not as a loan, as a donation. He then gets imposed against the will of the local party. He's not a local candidate. He's not from the local area or anything like that, which, by the way, does not make him remotely unique in this election. Seriously, most of South Birmingham is going to be represented by fucking cockneys. It's ridiculous. Anyway, essentially, like you say, to buy his candidacy, which is a shoo-in, right? So, basically, you'd have to work 18 months to have earned his money back, and with expenses less than that. It's not a bad investment, actually. If you've got £100,000 to spare, you can earn yourself fucking millions. If you're young enough and you get the gold-plated pension for serving 4 fucking years, then
as well as all of like the little, as well as all of like the potential brown envelopes on the side from people who want access to you as a member of Parliament as well later on.
Yeah, well, of course, people remember the influence gate. Oh, no, they don't, because the fucking journalists barely mentioned it. Where the Tory MPs were literally filmed saying, I can get you access to the Prime Minister for, was it
crazy.
£5,000, I think it was? Like, just ridiculous shit that goes on. And that's
also,
there's now been an arrest in the honeypot scandal as well. It's just, everything's fucking mental.
It is. Actually, brother, before pausing 1 sec, thank you, Gopnik, for the raid. The 282-person raid. That's crazy. Nice. Welcome in, everybody. Well, please refresh your screens. Everyone in my end on YouTube and Twitch, please go follow Gopnik-based leftist YouTube content creator and Twitch streamer. Everyone who's coming in here, you also the No Justice stream. We talk about UK politics 6 days a week. I appreciate you if we're dropping in all of the follows. Please refresh your screens. I'm here with Kevin Logan, the Mylianopolis destroyer himself.
Single-handed, mate.
Single-handed destroyer of Mylianopolis. And so if you like UK politics, again, I will also say it's unfortunate that we're both British, but I promise you, no matter how much you hate Britain, we hate it more. We have to live here.
Literally true. Yes. So, returning to
also sweet as well. On top of so remember we were talking about the Labour racism stuff, right? So on top of the Martin Ford stuff, on top of all these weirdo all these comments about Bangladeshis not being sent back to Bangladesh and all that kind of shit, repeated by Jonathan Ashworth and by Keir Starmer. On top of this, they told their black candidate in Clacton against Nigel Farage to stop campaigning against him because he was getting more retweets than Keir Starmer and it was making him look bad in response. I was like, how fucking petty, how pathetic. Like the absolute thugs at the Labour right, that they're just like, oh, you're making Keir, you're showing up the dear leader and against like the kind of
So
the rising bastion of UK ultranationalism. This is fucking important.
Do you remember when I said, when we read out the names of the people who were standing in Clacton the day it was announced that Farage was going? I think we were together, or was it with Christie? I can't remember. And I mentioned him, and he's got like, let's say, an ethnic sounding name, the lad. And I said, there's obviously going to be loads of racism there, thinking that Nigel Farage would be the one doing the racism against the black Labour candidate with the ethnic sounding name. But no, it's actually just the Labour Party being racist against their own fucking candidate.
Yeah, Joe Van Owusu-Nepal is his name.
There you go. It's not necessarily the most waspy name.
It's not an Anglosphere name.
Although neither is Nigel Farage. Ridiculous. Although you do get some of those. What was the name?
Well, he's married to a German anyway.
Well, exactly. Which, I mean, just goes to show he can't be racist. Some of his best friends are Nazis. Anyway. And I was not suggesting all Germans are Nazis. Honestly, I can't be German.
I mean, at this point, but you have to be an ethno-nationalist in Germany, otherwise you're illegal. If you want to move to Germany, you have to swear to support the existence of the state of Israel. It's a true fact nowadays. They've changed the law. You have to recognise the state of Israel to be a German citizen now.
Well, thankfully, Christie has only gotten her. She's not a citizen. I forget what it's called. Basically, she's allowed to stay there, and they won't kick her out unless she commits a heavy crime, which she's likely to. She's got murder in her eyes, I can tell. But that is really fucking strange. How even the kind of supposedly based leftoids of Germany are all like really Israel pilled. Like, come on, guys. Look, what you did was bad, but it was a long time ago, and you're overcompensating in a very significant way and fucking it up for everyone. Stop. Please stop.
I know, right?
Like literally Antifa people in Germany waving the Israeli flag, and I'm like, did you come here from a different fucking dimension? What planet are you on exactly? I don't understand this. Anyway. Getting off the rails slightly.
To expand on the Labour racism bit, so people who don't know in chat, you probably almost certainly know because I've tweeted a bunch about this already. But if you just follow me on YouTube or Twitch or on Kev's end as well, so we all know about the Ford report, right? I don't need to re-go over. Actually, got a bunch of you Gotpic viewers. So essentially, after the anti-Semitism row, the Keir Starmer hired a KC to do a report on the internal disciplinary processes of the Labour Party to ensure that they were fit for purpose, so that they could be able to nip a racism scandal or racist actions within the party in the bud at some point in the future. And it didn't really go how the Labour right wanted it to go. And Martin Ford said, well, most people actually take anti-Semitism more seriously than other kinds of racism in the party. There are problems with anti-black racism and Islamophobia in the party, which aren't taken as seriously as anti-Semitism because of like the perceived severity of the anti-Semitism problems. That's the hierarchy of racism.
Yeah, that's the okay racism. You're allowed to be okay against racist against those groups. That's fine.
I mean, that's basically how the Labour right work in this country. You can be as long as you're not racist against, as long as we deal with anti-Semitism problems, doesn't matter how Islamophobic or anti-black racist you are, because of course the leadership do all the time now.
And it's not even that you're not allowed to be anti-Semitic, because you really are. It's as long as you're pro-Israel. That's fine. Exactly. You can be as anti-Semitic as you like. You can literally do the fucking what's his name? Douglas fucking Cockwomble. What's his fucking name? Douglas Murray. You can literally come out and say, well, Germany just messed up a couple of times, which includes the fucking Holocaust. About as anti-Semitic as you're gonna get, other than denying it, I suppose. But because he supports Israel, Conservative MPs will fucking go to dinner with him. That's fine. That anti-Semitism's wonderful, because as long as you support Israel, that's absolutely fine.
Also, more Jewish people have been expelled from Labour under Keir Starmer than under Jeremy Corbyn because they're anti-Zionist. That's the problem.
Exactly,
people like Rika Bird and Helen Marks and Joe Bird as well for that merger too. But the thing is, after writing this report, he's been very critical of the Labour Party for not responding to him. He's been critical of them in the way that they've not had any correspondence with him afterwards to try and paper over, so trying to fill in the cracks of what's the problems with their disciplinary process and the racism problems within the party. And turns out in the background they sent him a letter trying to gag him, saying if you keep talking about this, there will measures. I forget the exact wording of whatever it was, right? They literally tried to gag the guy who had done internal criticisms of the fact that there was problems with internal racism after all the fucking shit with Dan Abbott and Faisal Shaheen and the Channel 4 report into internal anti-black racism, where the MPs who were talking to Channel 4 refused to give their names publicly because they feared they would lose the whip if they spoke openly about their experience of racism in the Labour Party. And that was one of the reasons why Faiza Shaheen was dropped as a candidate. She was open about experiencing Islamophobia, and I was like, no, you're making us look bad if you talk about that. So candidacy gone.
Yep.
Crazy shit. Crazy shit.
Absolute fucking mental. So basically, the summation of all of this is that in British politics, they're basically all cunts.
That's true. They are all cunts.
They are all terrible, awful people, all out on the make. They're all after themselves. They're self-serving, happy to support genocide. Just wankers, just real wankers. Except like maybe 2 small parties. That's about it. That's literally about it. And they will control probably 1 seat after this election. Brilliant.
Woo. Although there's speaking of the seats though, did you see the electoral calculus MRP poll that dropped yesterday?
No, what was this?
So it's an MRP poll. So it's a big poll. It's multivariate regression and post-stratification polls. So it's like one of the biggest kind of polls that they can do. It expands based upon demographics and outwardly projects how that's going to look in terms of seats and in terms of overall vote share for the country based upon those demographics, right? So this is a really, really high quality poll, a high sample size poll, much higher than the regular kind of voting intention polls that you see, because it's like 20,000, not 1,000 or 1,500. This poll had Labour on, I think it was 40%, so a little bit down on their usual electoral calculus, but still pretty high. Reform UK in second on 17.
Still going to get no fucking seats, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, so and then Tories on 15%, only 1 point ahead of the Lib Dems on 14%.
Imagine if they came 4th in the fucking... When was the last time the Conservatives didn't come in the top 2 at a general election?
Never.
Mental. And they are within...
Since 1834, since they were founded as the Conservative and Unionist Party, they have never, ever come anything other than the top 2.
Fucking man. And they're within the margin of error of being 4th.
Yep.
That is... honest to God. You know what? We need to, I think, recalculate as leftoids our appreciation for people like Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss, who not only, let's remember, killed the Queen with their bare hands, well played there, but they have been so successful. They have taken the most successful brand in Western politics. The Conservative Party, no other political party in Western Europe comes fucking close to the success they've had. And
they've won more elections than any other political party in history. Yeah.
They have murdered it. They've literally destroyed it. It's now shit. And given the age demographics and how that plays out, they're not coming back. There's no voter base for them to rebuild with. Because by the time they start rebuilding, the only people who do vote for them will be fucking dead.
Yep.
Amazing.
Even their core voters from the people who are about to die will vote for Reform UK.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
No one wants to vote for them. And I've said this before. It's because they're not actually a Conservative party. They're high tax. They lie and say that they're anti-immigration whilst bringing in more people than we've ever fucking seen before, both by regular and irregular means. It's ridiculous. They're not a Conservative party. They haven't even tried to do economic stability because they've thrown piss up the wall there with Brexit. So they're not even pretending to be a party of economic stability. What are they? Yeah. What do they even fucking represent?
Well, they're destroying their own legacy, like trying to undermine the European Convention on Human Rights. Fucking Churchill helped draft that shit. Like,
well, literally this week, the supposedly foreign court that Rishi Sunak keeps going on about, Britain just elected 3 British fucking judges to it this week. It's a foreign court, apparently. How does that fucking work? Jesus Christ.
They've shot every single potential demographic that could vote for them through the floor. Like, not only the old people want the immigrants to go, and also they failed to do that, obviously, because they want the economy to function. On top of that, they've also destroyed the NHS, which old people rely on. And they've also
which is like the only and the NHS is like the one really truly positive uniting thing in Britain. It's the most popular thing. Poll after poll of every cultural institution, the NHS is always top, above the BBC, above fucking everything. And yet they've gone, you know what we should do? We should murder that. We should literally kill Santa Claus with a fucking garrote. Amazing.
But you literally and also on top of that, like Liz Truss fucked their pensions as well with
Yeah, exactly.
the fiscal event.
Yeah. They should have just let the fucking lettuce have a bash.
Yeah, so it couldn't be any worse, could it?
It literally
The lettuce
couldn't.
Well, the lettuce couldn't leave D-Day early.
Exactly. The lettuce
It
would have
couldn't.
respected the troops, yes.
Absolutely, inanimate carbon rod. Yeah, more close-ups of the rod, please.
Don't blame me. I voted for Kang. Okay?
But honestly, like as I said, I mentioned this on Twitter. Like, I've seen like the conservatoid molding about this. Sebastian Payne did this whole fucking Spectator. Quoted a Fraser Nelson article from the Spectator.
Oh, two of
saying,
the worst stupid. Honestly, if there were two
biggest cunts
people
ever, yeah.
who would, if I could just Thanos snap them out of existence, they would be on the fucking list. 100% cunts.
But yeah, so but like there's an article that Fraser Nelson wrote talking about how like, Reform UK have played spoiler, and now we're going to have this. They're ushering in like this kind of cultural decay of the country because Labour are going to ruin our institutions or whatever. And then I actually this is the first and only time I'll ever do this. I retweeted Aaron fucking Banks. Aaron Banks because he quoted this article.
We should
saying,
point out who Aaron Banks is. He was the bankroller of the Brexit campaign. Basically.
And Nigel Farage and
Nigel
UKIP and all that
Farage,
shit,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Brexit party. But he literally he quote tweeted it saying, "What about all of 14 years of Conservative mismanagement and Conservative incompetence? There are many things I hate about the Conservative Party, but the biggest thing I hate is their smug sense of entitlement to everything." And I'm just like, yeah fucking too, right? These entitled assholes thinking that everyone should vote for them forever and they should always be at the top of UK politics. No, you're gonna fucking die, and it's your own fault. It's literally your own fault.
Well, we talk about like the destruction of institutions and stuff. What you could always rely on with the Tories was military spending, and like they'll back the police, which I don't think is either of those is a good thing, but that's a thing you could rely on them to do. First thing they did, get rid of thousands of police officers and fucking put literally army soldiers on the fucking dole. What are you doing? Like, why did they even fucking stay in this? Oh yeah, because the fucking Corbyn's literally Hitler, so the media ran a campaign of fucking hatred against him, and he still nearly won. Fucking mad.
But yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
anyway.
I just want to point out one thing. Richie in chat who bumped into Nick Bowles and asked what questions I would ask him. Austerity, like why did he back austerity? Why did he back all the people fucking dying? He's now backing Rachel Reeves doing the same shit. So I know that he doesn't think that it's bad anymore. Yeah. But the thing as well is that, at least with Reform UK as well, is that despite the fact clearly these people are of the elite, they're all privately educated, they're all people from like backgrounds of those the posh types, they all have huge amounts of money and stock options or whatever because these people are bourgeois as fuck, right? But at least they at least try and acknowledge the feeling of discontentment with the political class that people are feeling, whereas the Conservatives, they're completely unaware that could ever happen to them, that people could think of them as being bad. And, fair play to Reform for seeing that discontentment and weaponising it to destroy the Conservative Party. Except I don't think Reform UK will last.
No, I don't think so
I think there's a really big chance of them ascending stratospherically electorally over the next 5 years as the Conservative Party die off and Nigel Farage gets himself being popular on TikTok by talking about Big Chungus or whatever. But that won't that can't last. That electoral base can't last. Like the minority scapegoat movement, that can't last. It's got a really short lifespan and a low ceiling in terms of vote share. So I think it'll be a big.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was just going to say the low ceiling, I think, is the important thing. They're not going after any kind of middle ground vote at all. Now, the middle ground has been largely evacuated, but that doesn't mean it's been evacuated to the very extremes. It just means that people are looking for slightly more one way or the other. And they're not going after anyone even vaguely to the left of the Conservative Party. That doesn't have a big voter base there. Again, especially with voter demographics they're going to need if they want to take over from the Conservative Party over the next 20 years. Because in 20 years' time, the 60-year-olds will be fucking dead. So you know what I mean? Look, it's just not a viable option. That's not a viable plan forward. So they either have to ditch Farage and his appeal to that certain demographic and move toward a centrist, centre-right, traditional conservative position, or they won't actually have a long-term future, or will remain a fucking stupid fringe party. But
Well,
Uh,
what Aaron Bastani was talking about is that looking at their manifesto, it's a kind of like Thatcher style, not necessarily Thatcherite in terms of its politics. It's a bit all over the place, but it's a Thatcher style version of popular capitalism. They're angling towards the small business owner, the hustle culture stuff. That's big with young people. That's why Reform UK have better numbers than you'd expect amongst 18 to 24s, because they're really tapping into the kind of Stephen Bartlett Diary of a CEO style, Gary Vaynerchuk model of, we'll cut taxes for small business owners. The big corporations, the World Economic Forum, are attacking the kind of the what people think about when they think of capitalism. They don't think of big corporations like we would do. They think of it as being like small sole traders and local butcher shops, whatever. And this kind of localism that we really support, but we support it in a more cooperative sense. But anyway, they're really targeting that kind of thing, and also targeting like half state ownership with half pension fund ownership of critical infrastructure. It's clear that Farage knows that his Singapore-on-Thames sweatshop of Europe style, like disaster capitalism, doesn't really play well with the public, so he's massively changed their platform to be a little bit more popular.
Yeah, but
to try and get votes.
Even so, I think they're still not in tune with things, and if they ever became a genuine threat in terms of actually becoming the Conservative Party, i.e. the party of the right, I think people would take a lot more look at their economic base, and indeed the things that they and their supporters say. Like you said, he basically wanted us to become a fucking tax haven off the coast of Europe, which is not a thing the British public were ever going to support in any way. And a lot of that kind of rhetoric in the past will come back to haunt them. If they stick with this, But again, it depends. I mean, we might be writing the Conservative Party off too soon. Maybe they'll get some sort of rebirth because of the fucking dearth of any actual change under Keir Starmer. Who knows?
We shall see. I think that's why actually I'm going to be trying to do far more anti-reform UK content on this channel. I think I want to be able to make much more of a play towards people who are being taken in by or will be able to cut taxes and cut government waste, because government waste is bad. Because this is what we did in the Osborne Cameron era. That didn't fucking work. They want to say they want to make work pay through tax cuts. I'm like, no. We need to make work pay through wage increases, through collective bargaining and trade union membership, right? The trade union membership in this country of under 25s, the density of that is 9%. 9%. They have no connection to young people. They have no connection to community. They have no connection to the idea of the trade union movement more broadly. So if we don't tap into these people and they get captured by this hustle culture stuff, they could really be attacked by this popular capitalism rhetoric. So I want to sell people, no, we need higher wages, we need more public spending, we don't want to do this model. But I think there's real room for taking on Reform UK on their own ground.
Yes.
I think there's one more thing before we watch this. I think there's one more thing that I wanted to mention, but I've forgotten what it was now.
I don't know. Well, one thing we can mention is if you want to help us in our journey to tackle these issues, you can do bits messages. You can get text-to-speech on both channels. You can do super chats. You can do subscriptions. You can become a member. We both got Patreons. These are ways in which you can help us to help the world, and between us, we'll fucking save the world. Yeah, that's a cast iron guarantee. I'm giving you hope you can't
absolutely
believe in. Let's go.
So you remonetized on YouTube now, Kev?
No, they still haven't gotten back to me, even though I've sent them a picture of both my passport and my fucking driver's license. Apparently, I still might not be me. Absolutely.
It's literally the name of your channel as well.
Yeah, but I might not be me. I might be me impersonating me. Whoa. I don't fucking know. YouTube is shite. Anyway.
They are indeed shite, yeah.
But, yes. And also, who did they think they were sending the first payment to? Because they already paid me once. So who did that fucking money go to? If they don't know it was to me. Mental. Anyway, let's not get into it. These two meltoids. And actually, she's a fucking melter as well. This debate is a joke. Should we take a look?
In 9 days' time, one of the two men standing here will be Prime Minister. Tonight, they go head-to-head. Welcome to the BBC Prime Ministerial Debate.
Hey, Birmingham! Woo!
welcome to Nottingham and to Nottingham Trent University, our venue.
Now, beautifully, this is being held in Nottingham, and you weren't there. And the Question Time later is being held in Birmingham, and I'm not there.
Yep.
So,
I mean, look, I couldn't. I was literally I was on a plane when this was on.
Yeah.
I was on the plane when this was on.
Well, I'm just in my house. I could have gone if I had have applied, but I forgot to. Also, who gives a fuck, really?
Thank you for the
For
tenor,
this
Baz.
debate.
Appreciate it.
With the general election just over a week away tonight, Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer are about to spend the next hour and a quarter answering voters' questions. They are the two contenders.
If you hear shouting in the background, that's not my neighbours going mental this time. There was pro-Palestinian protesters at the university campus there, screaming.
Oh, Kev, I realised what I was going to talk about before we started, and I think this is a really
for it.
important point, is that one thing that we... Oh, sorry. Let's wait for that alert to go off. One thing that is important, actually, is that this latest poll showed that Ed Davey would be the leader of the opposition, because the Tories are getting hammered so hard, the Liberal Democrats are going to be the official opposition. I've changed my opinion, at least slightly, on tactical voting now. I don't think you should tactically vote for Labour, because fuck Labour. But I think that if the Lib Dems can win in your constituency, I absolutely now believe that you should tactically vote for the Liberal Democrats. I cannot believe I'm saying this after everything they've done to this country. The idea that the next 5 years of politics could be shaped with a Liberal Democrat representative being on every single panel show, the Tories being relegated to being part of the rotating cast rather than a permanent fixture. This idea that Prime Minister's questions won't be let's bash migrants all day, let's have boring conversations about boring stuff, which to be fair isn't ideal, but at least the conservatoid angle on something isn't 100% of the time being the mainstay of our political discussion. This could change the course of history. Like, I've been watching Phil, and I think he's right on this for once. We agree on something. I actually have changed my mind that we should vote Liberal Democrat tactically in seats where they can win, especially against the Conservative Party.
Can I just take back my point about giving Helena money? She clearly... we should not reward this kind of behaviour, okay? This is like... I need to put her on the naughty step now. Don't be a shitlib. What's this about? Is 2016... Can you not just get past the sunk cost fallacy? I'm 2016. Or 2010 or whatever election you voted, I don't fucking know. Anyway, look, the Liberal Democrats are no better fundamentally than the Conservatives in a number of ways. I don't think it makes a great deal of difference. I would say to reward the Lib Dems, especially when it's this fucking prick, literally Mr. I didn't give a fuck about the sub-postmasters bit, that cunt who was literally in the fucking government. It's not like it's a new Liberal Democrat leader with no stain from the past. No, he was in the austerity government. His hands are just as dripping in the blood as fucking George Osborne's is. So no, I don't think you should fucking vote for the Liberal Democrats. Fuck them. But
I mean, that is all true. I mean, a lot of aspects of Labour, apart from rail nationalisation and a bunch of their green energy investment, they're pretty similar from what I've seen. But it's just, I think the big clincher is that you don't get culture war from Ed Davey. In fact, the Dems are better on trans stuff than Labour is. And I just think shutting the Tories out of that conversation is just... I think that is like 5 years, literally 5 whole years of the Conservatives not having a permanent fixture position in the political discussion in this country. I think that's important to aim for. Like, I couldn't give a shit about voting for Labour, but...
I think you've been taken in by the fact that Ed Davey looks to block he's having a lot of fun. I think you've been taken in by him falling off a surfboard. How comical. No amount of surfboarding will get rid of the stain from you, Mr. Davey, in my eyes. I wouldn't vote for you if you would... I don't know. I wouldn't vote for you if I had a fucking gun to my head. Anyway, that's a different matter entirely. Let us not get into it. I suppose I'm in the lucky position where I can just throw my vote away because Labour are going to fucking win here, so who gives a shit?
I mean, most seats that's going to be the case, right?
Yeah,
like this very specific situation where you are in a seat where the Lib Dems could potentially take it away from the Tories,
yeah.
like this, or even away from Labour. Like, yeah. I like Olivia Blake a lot, but you should probably vote Liberal Democrat in Sheffield Hallam because that's one more seat and was more likely to them to be higher than the Conservative in seat share on July the 5th.
Okay, well, that's... yeah. Anyway, talking of the trans stuff, did you see, to link two topics, the trans thing and the betting scandal, did you see Alistair Jack the former Scotland minister, who was the one who challenged
Yeah.
the whole gender recognition thing and got it overturned, and undermined the very basis of devolution. Well done, you cunt. Anyway, he, again, I wish I'd streamed yesterday, actually, because I was going to make the prediction, which eventually came true, that he had, quote-unquote, joked about having placed a bet before this whole betting scandal blew up. And he stuck to that story. He said, no, the reports are wrong. I didn't actually place any bets. I was just joking. And I was going to say, he's obviously not just joking. That's a very specific thing to do in the very specific time frame in which that quote-unquote joke took place. He then was revealed this morning. Oh, no, I did. No, I actually placed several bets on the date of the election.
Actually, it keeps expanding the coterie of people who are potentially going to get done by Gamblegate. It's very funny.
Oh,
to
yeah,
me.
did you? I mean,
Spencer's Part 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Did you see? And because I don't know what you did or didn't see, but did you see Wizard Lady and the Communists?
I fucking did. I was on the Serious Danger podcast the other day.
Oh, okay.
And they asked me what I thought the funniest moment of the campaign so far was. Actually, they already went over a bunch of things that were already funny, and my response was, the funniest thing is J.K. Rowling endorsing the Communist Party. What do you think the Leninist Vanguard, if the Leninist Vanguard take over, do you think they're going to leave you with your fucking castle, mate?
Yeah.
Nah. Clearly, Chassie's getting reappropriated.
But then, beautifully, they told her to go fuck herself.
Yeah, they did.
She was too problematic for the fucking CPG. Sorry, the CPB, I should say.
CPB.
Yeah. The Communist Party of Britain basically went, nah, she doesn't fucking represent us, and our policy position's actually quite pro-trans. Like, here's what our actual thing is. And basically went, so someone in my thing did the meme, obviously, of Stalin with J.K. Rowling, and then the bottom picture is she's disappeared. that meme is just timeless. And yeah, she's so toxic now that even a basically irrelevant but rather toxic party themselves went, we don't want that stank on us. No, get away.
It's very funny that we were already confused by which potential party it was, because it could be CPB or CPGB or CPGB ML, because there's so different fucking sects.
Well, there are, but the link she specifically gave out was the Communist Party of Britain.
CPB.
Yeah.
CPB specifically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's very funny that they massively rebuked her, because the thing is again, I mentioned this on the podcast when obviously she wants Angela Rayner to retract her criticism of Women's Place UK and of the LGB Alliance for being hate groups, which I don't think Rayner is going to do, for them to be able to meet with Annalise Dodds and Keir Starmer. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
But again, I put this out, you can't please these people.
You can't.
Anything short of stripping trans people of every single right that they have, removing the ability to medically transition for everybody, and doing what Helen Joyce said. We need to reduce the number of people transitioning to as low a number as possible.
Every one of them's a problem to a sane world or whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
It's just genocidal madness. Yeah.
Yeah, literally anything short of this. Anything short of that, it's not good enough for them.
Yeah, I was on the Turning Point Left podcast. I was the guest on with our good friend Curtis. And although I didn't realise that fucking Cog was the editor on that, that's awesome. Anyway, regardless, someone said I did a very good passing impression of you by I did a more newsy, not so sweary bit. It was quite good. Anyway, the point.
I really enjoyed it. I did watch.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I literally made that point. There's no point trying to fucking negotiate with them or compromise, because it's literally either you start setting up camps or they're just going to shit on you. That's it. Those are the two, so just fucking ignore them, And it goes to the point of like, J.K. Rowling, they're like, oh, we want to meet with J.K. Rowling, but fucking David Tennant, he's a piece of shit. How dare he support trans kids?
Oh shit, the Cammy Badenoch stuff. Oh
yeah,
my
fuck me.
The Tory it poll, it never ends.
Literally. Oh, so you don't want this black woman to exist? No, that's not what he said. He said the Equalities Minister shouldn't be a necessary position. He didn't say she shouldn't fucking exist, you lying cunt.
I mean, she shouldn't exist.
Well, yeah, but that's different. That's not the point he was making. That is true, just definitively correct. But that's not the point he was specifically making.
No, exactly. But the part of the culture was the papers are all over it. on the very, very, very silly. Also, another thing I watched of yours, Kev, is I watched you react to Nick Robinson interviewing Adrian
Oh,
Ramsey.
the
he
fucking
waves the burger at
the
him. Like, would you
burger.
nationalise sausages?
the burger, and then the fucking Lego bits. I felt like my brain was fucking melting. The fuck? Like, we can't understand economics unless it's a cake or pint glasses filled with fucking Lego bricks. Are we fucking six? What is this? Fuck me. And I literally started off that bit by saying he's not the worst he's not the worst journalist. And I came over thinking maybe he is. Actually, maybe he just is. Maybe I was just wrong all this time. I don't know. Anyway.
Oh dear. Also, brother, I've got a couple of super chats.
Go for it.
Renegade 101, thank you for the fiver. Was at a local hustings yesterday, and the Lib Dem candidate was criticising tactical voting. Had to laugh on their forecast to be in opposition. Well, I mean, of course they're going to criticise tactical voting. They criticise tactical voting for exactly the same reason that I do, because I want people to vote for the Green Party. So the Green Party are in second next time, so we're going to be the tactical vote one. That's why I support this stuff.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Question Lab Sanity says we have an opportunity to not just put the Tories on the bench, but to send them home to watch the game on their Sky dish, which I think is a very, very funny comment. And again, I think I've moved on that one as well. So just bear this 1 second, chat.
Well, look. I mean, I will just reiterate my position. Fuck the Liberal Democrats. I'm not voting for them.
I mean, fuck them. I mean, I understand if people don't want to, but I think
Yeah.
that there is reasonable utility in making sure that we don't have
Like,
Kemi Baker
it would be
the opposition.
Well, yeah, it would be better. The Liberal Democrats are clearly a better party than the Tories are, but I don't think they're sufficiently better that I would ever vote for them, really. Like, especially given what happened. Like, before 2010, I would have been like, yeah, fucking vote for them. They were anti-war. They said they were going to get rid of tuition fees. Oh, based, nice. But we know what they actually are. They've shown what they are, and I intend to take them at their word. Anyway, or take them at their action rather than their word, I suppose.
Well, that's fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. Judging by action rather than words. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we get into this? Because this is it's not burger and fucking Lego bit cancer, but it's still pretty shit.
Yeah.
For Prime Minister, their positions on this debate stage have been decided by the toss of a coin. They do not know what the questions will be. Those will be coming primarily from our live audience here at the university, who have been chosen by the pollsters Savanta. They include supporters of the Conservatives and of Labour, as well as some undecided voters. And we will also have questions submitted through the BBC's Your Voice, Your Vote website. After 75 minutes of debate, we will have analysis from our spin room, which is also here on the Nottingham Trent campus. And that is where Laura Koonsberg and Clive Myrie will be talking to other politicians and also to fellow journalists. And so, to the leaders, Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer, welcome to you both. It's very good that you're taking part in this with just over a week to polling day. Welcome. Let us begin straight away with our first question, and it is from Sue Barkley.
People are dismayed by the lack of integrity and honesty in politics today. After the recent allegations about political betting, how would you restore trust in politics?
Thank you very much, Sue, for kicking us off. Now, both of your parties have faced allegations in this regard in recent days. We know of 5 Conservatives being investigated and 1 Labour.
Yeah, there's 1 Labour, and he put on a very small bet. Look, I'm not one to give a fuck about the Labour Party's PR, but the idea that the absolutely endemic voting, to the point where a fucking opposition minister in the Welsh Senate for the Tories got to know of this and put a bet on himself and has now had to step aside from his official position. Like, is there any Tory in the country who didn't know and placed bets on this? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like,
whereas there's 1 Labour bloke who put bet against himself. Basically, it seems like it's a way of like covering the fucking deposit, basically. Which makes some.
I feel like as well. What's interesting as well is it does seem like as the scandal has kind of gripped the public consciousness, it became part of the public consciousness before the Labour guy was exposed. So
Yeah.
people are still thinking of it as a Tory scandal rather than what seems to me like this one. Oh, let's just put a Labour guy in to make it look like it's everyone's fault.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. That's why it's starting to take on that kind of slight feel of EMP's expenses thing. Not that people are going to be as angry because it's not public money, but the kind of all-pervasive nature of it, that they're all at it. They've all got their fucking noses in the trough. They're all after it for themselves. Kind of begins to permeate throughout the system, you know. I wonder if there are any Lib Dems who knew and any fucking SNP or whatever, you know. We'll wait and see. I think there's a lot more to come after the election, by which time the journalists won't even pretend to be impartial anymore and we'll just ignore it, I'm sure.
Rishi Sunak.
Well, Sue, I completely share your anger. I was as frustrated as you are furious when I learnt about these allegations. That's why, alongside the Gambling Commission, we initiated our own internal inquiries into what had happened, and as a result of that, have suspended 2 candidates. And I've been crystal clear, anyone who has broken the law, broken the rules, should not only face the full consequences of the law, I will ensure that they're booted out of the Conservative Party.
Keir Starmer.
Sue, thank you very much for your question, which I think is on a lot of people's minds, this question of respect and integrity in...
Rishi was annoyed because there's a perfectly legitimate way of doing gambling, which is to take hundreds of billions of pounds in bank money and just sort of piss it up the wall on bad debt. And then the taxpayer just calls you anyway. So it's like, the house always wins, you know?
Bad to debt, I think you'll find these bundles of mortgages are perfectly legitimate, Kevin.
Subprime sounds so much more than shit, doesn't it? It's so much more nice than literally toxic sludge that you wouldn't fucking touch in a million years if you knew what was inside. But it's the magic box. Woohoo!
Politics, and you have to lead from the front on issues like this. I think over the last 14 years, politics has become too much about self-entitlement and MPs thinking about what they can get for themselves. And one of the important choices, and the thing that I would like to do if I'm elected Prime Minister, is to reset politics so that politics returns to public service. In relation to these gambling allegations, the instinct of these people to think the first thing they should do is try to make money was the wrong instinct, and we have to change that. But it is also a question of leadership, because this isn't just what's happened this week, last week in the Gambling Commission. We saw Partygate earlier in this Parliament. The Prime Minister himself was convicted and fined for breaking the rules which he brought in and imposed on everybody else.
He's so glad that the Currygate thing never really took off. He's so
Yeah.
fucking
I'm
glad.
gutted. I'm gutted that it didn't end his political career because he made a stupid plan to resign if he got fined for it, which was very funny to me.
True, but they'd have just elected some other cunt. It just,
That's true.
The Labour together were never going to let go. Once they had the scruff of the neck, it was never going anywhere to this place.
And of course, we've seen what happened with the COVID contracts and the huge amounts of money that were made. This takes leadership. What I did when one of my team was alleged to have been involved and investigated by the Gambling Commission, they were suspended within minutes because I knew it made it really important to be swift. The Prime Minister delayed and delayed and delayed until eventually he was bullied into taking
Rishi
action.
Sunak,
If you're
To be
going
fair
to
though,
a
Keir,
culture-
To be fair though, Keir, none of the candidates that Rishi Sunak has suspended bought their candidacy with an £100,000 donation to get imposed by the NEC against the wishes of the CLP.
That we know of. I mean, one of them, to be fair,
Yeah.
was the wife of the leader of the Tory party campaign. So I imagine she's just the best person for the job. I imagine there's absolutely no nepotism gone on there whatsoever.
Absolutely.
She was clearly, she made it through on merit.
High quality candidates update. Here we go. Also,
Exactly.
just for legal reasons, I like to point out that potentially was given his position as a candidacy because he made the £100,000
It would have-
donation. I think
yeah.
that shows a link. I cannot prove that the NEC deliberately put him there because he gave them money.
It would
I just
appear-
think it's very likely.
Yeah, it would appear to be a significant and as yet unanswered conflict of interest.
Indeed.
Let me
You have
get
to
a
start at the
response.
top.
Let me get a response, Keir Starmer, to those accusations.
Well, it was
Rishi Sunak.
important to me that, given the seriousness and the sensitivity of the matters at hand, that they were dealt with properly, and that's what I've done. We had an independent internal inquiry into what happened, have taken action and suspended the candidates involved, and I've been crystal clear that they should face the full consequences of the law. But Keir Starmer talks about leadership in politics. That's what Sue's question was at, was a broad question about how to do that. I also think leadership means being straight with people. It means having the courage of your convictions, not changing your mind on every single position that you've taken and being up.
Fair point, fair point. Now get ready for him to answer £2,000 Labour tax to every question.
Thing is, though, as well, is that Rishi Sunak can come out here and say, well, you can't trust Keir Starmer because he keeps changing his mind and everything, which is absolutely 100% true. I'm not going to quibble with what his criticism there. But my guy, Rishi, you got elected in 2019 on a manifesto which had commitments to complete HS2, to ban conversion therapy, to uprate benefits in line with inflation, to deregulate the planning sector, to be able to ban Section 21 no-fault evictions, to have a green industrial revolution, to build 40 new hospitals, to create a high-wage, high-skill economy, to be able to bring global Britain by allowing people to come and study here, for example. How many of these manifesto promises have you lived up to, Rishi? How many? I'll give you the answer. Fucking none of them. Literally none of those promises I've just read out have been kept by this man who was put into the position of Prime Minister with no mandate at all because he was just coronated by the Conservative Party, by the Parliamentary Conservative Party, and then just said, all of these things I got elected on, rip them up. Going to tear them all up, and I'm now going to be Mr. Austerity neoliberalism, which literally no one in this country wants.
But to be fair, in that manifesto, it also said they'd get immigration down to the thousands, and he hasn't done that either. So, like, he's literally broken every promise. And both of these dickheads have refuted the policies on which they were elected as members of Parliament.
It really is incredible. I don't know if you saw you wouldn't have seen it on Twitter anymore, but Lewis Goodall just said, oh, well, people seem to be disaffected with politics, but why? I don't know why they're criticising Starmer and Sunak. I'm like, my guy, nobody's picking up what they're putting down. Everybody hates this shit. People are like, the supposed worst choice ever in 2019, right? Because centrist liberal journalists thought that Boris Johnson and Corbyn were too uncouth to be political figureheads, right? People really supported what the policies there, a plurality of people. Now, 58% of people, against like 20% saying yes, feel completely unrepresented by the main political parties. And I'm like, yeah, it's just the narrative is driven by fucking clowns, PPE, privately educated, Eton, Oxford, Cambridge clowns in our fucking journalism sphere.
Yep. The people that matter like it, though, so that's fine. Vibes, adults in the room, let's go.
Upfront about what you want to do for the country. That's not what Keir Starmer is doing. He's not being honest with everyone about his plans to raise their taxes.
Right,
I think that will erode trust in politics, and that's the choice of this election. Let's just stick to the heart of the question, first of all, because it was sparked by the recent allegations about political betting, and Sue asked how you would restore trust in politics. So if you've acted now on those, to withdraw support from those two Conservative candidates, what did you find in that investigation? Well, Michelle, you know there's an independent investigation which is ongoing, which is why I can't say anything further about that. You will understand.
We found out that actually the Conservative Party manifesto was written with those little bookie pens. That's how fucking deep it goes. That's how deep.
No, it's Robert Colville just had his fingers crossed behind his back. Psych! Didn't mean it. Lol, sorry. What's interesting as well is Rishi Sunak saying here, oh, well, it's an ongoing investigation. I'm not allowed to talk about it. No, he is allowed to talk about it because it's not a jury trial. Like, he can't perjure it. Sam Coates was bullying him, quite frankly, on Sky News about it with good fucking reason.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like, it's not the police aren't investigating at this point. It's the Gambling Commission.
Yeah.
It's fine, you can talk about that. You're a lying cunt, Risho.
But when we had our internal inquiries, when we found things that were not appropriate, I took action and suspended the candidates. I've been crystal clear. I was furious to hear about these things. That's why I've dealt with it. But the choice of this election is about, as Sue said, it's about leadership, it's about integrity in politics, and that is a question about doing what you say. You know, Keir Starmer's made this broader point, but the point is, he's changed his mind on every major position that he's taken. Absolutely. He doesn't have the courage of his convictions and is not being straight with everybody now about his plans, if he wins power, to raise people's taxes. That's not going to do anything to restore trust in politics, and that's a choice.
Literally just tax. He just answers tax to everything.
Well, I think it's the problem as well is that he's not raising taxes. Again,
No.
I really wish that Keir Starmer was the mythical fantasy Keir Starmer that lives rent free in these fuckers' heads. Be great, like
Yeah.
all of these doom and gloom headlines, which to be fair are pretty funny from the Telegraph, trying to say, "Oh, Britain's going to be culturally destroyed. Oh no, we got Britain's going to be ruined by socialism." I'm like, come on, right? Stop making. Don't make me. Don't give me hope. Don't be like Alistair Heath, getting my hopes up that Keir Starmer's going to be anything other than an austere liberal.
Yeah, the front page of the Daily Mail. There's been on one of the many terrible polls for the Tories, basically saying Keir Starmer on the verge of making Britain a one-party socialist state. Yeah, don't threaten me with the time of my life. What the fuck are you talking about?
Joseph Bros Starmer, here we go.
Let's go.
Choice for everyone at this election: continue tax cuts with the Conservatives, or Keir Starmer's tax rises, which he is not being straight with everyone about.
Again, to return to the question, Keir Starmer, the Labour candidate from whom you've withdrawn support, appears to have betted on losing his own election.
Also,
do you know if any other candidate...
Why have they decided to have this debate in a fucking cave system? Why am I hearing 1,000 echoes?
Well, did you not hear me? I said at the start when I said if you hear noises, that would be the Palestinian protesters outside.
No, but there's also echoing. There's also like a gigantic echo in the background from the things they're saying as well.
Yeah, no, it is very leftist audio, to be fair. Yeah.
that has placed similar bets in this campaign?
Well, he was, as you say, investigated by the Gambling Commission because he bet on himself to lose. As soon as the Commission said they were investigating, I suspended him. And I've made very clear to my candidates that I expect high standards in politics. I said last...
Going to mention the 100 grand? You're going to mention the 100 grand that you took from him and that you had to give back, and that...
Oh, just fucking Neil Coyle. Should we talk about Neil Coyle? Should we talk about Graham Stringer, the guy who has got links to a climate-denying think tank? Should we talk about Luke Akehurst? Should we talk about like the absolute string of people who have links to like lobbyists or links to public affairs groups or links to public or privately owned water companies? Should we talk about
or
any
just
of these
the loads
candidates?
of candidates. The only links they don't have is to the local area they'll be representing. Yeah,
Or the trade unions.
Or the trade unions, yeah. Or, progressive politics.
Yeah.
Or, fuckability. Any of these things they lack, but,
Last week that the Prime Minister should have taken decisive action. And I said last week, should one of my candidates be investigated by the Commission, then they would be suspended and their feet wouldn't leave the floor. And that's what I did. And so my candidates know I expect the highest...
Their feet wouldn't leave the floor. It's their feet wouldn't touch the floor. You're a fucking idiot, mate. It's a small point, but it's silly,
standards, and that I'll take decisive action if they fall below those standards. Because I am going to back to Susan.
I'll take decisive action. Wasn't it a 6-hour meeting it took to eventually be persuaded that he had to get rid of was it Azhar Ali in Rochdale? Amazing. Yeah, you're so decisive, Keir. Fuck me. Imagine this cunt in a nuclear situation. I was decisive in that 6 hours later I decided to strike back against Russia. Thanks. Cobra meetings are going to last fucking weeks.
Well, to be fair, at least in that situation where we're going to get nuked, it doesn't matter how long he takes because all of our nukes are owned by America, and he subcontracts out all of our defense and foreign policy decisions to the fucking American State Department.
But the quicker,
at least there will be a quick decision.
Yeah, the quicker we respond, the quicker we get our message to America, the quicker they'll go, should we bother responding to this, and then throw it in the trash. So they'll get back to us like, Anyway, he does a fucking independent nuclear threat. Fuck off. That's what he should have said. Oh, Corbyn should have said that, shouldn't he? Would you nuke people? Would you nuke people? He should have just gone, I don't know. I'd have to ask the fucking president. Dickheads.
Do you know,
I'm absolutely determined to return politics to public service.
Do you know that none of your other candidates have placed similar bets?
Important for our country.
Do you know that none of your other candidates have placed similar bets?
Well, I've made clear to my candidates what the standards...
To be fair, look, what kind of fucking question is that? He's not fucking Nostradamus. Like,
Oh, yeah,
do you
I
think
fucking
he?
hate this shit.
Do you think he knows the individual betting habits of 650 fucking people, most of whom he's never met? What the fuck does that mean? Is a question. Like, if he does know and he's found out to lie and say no, that's one thing. But like, for the purposes of this debate, that's such a waste of a fucking question, and it's such a waste of everyone's time.
Exactly. That's why people try to impugn something. Say, "Oh, you Azarali are stealing your party." Clearly, there's still a massive anti-Semitism problem. People try to throw these things. Not that there was one to begin with, right? But I made this point. I'm like, what the fuck is he supposed to do? Just intuit that Azarali had said these things in confidence, in private. Just fucking telepathically know that Azarali had said these things just by having never heard them himself before. What do you think, he had access to the leaked audio already? No, of course he didn't. The issue, of course, is the length of time it took for him to withdraw support. That's how you respond to these things, not whether or not you can fucking read people's bloody minds.
Sir Fortune Teller, Casey?
And they've seen by my actions what the consequences are if they fall short of those standards. But the Prime Minister hides behind a process. He could have taken decisive action last week, even the week before, but he eventually got round to it when we were bullied by other people into doing it. That's not...
Bullied is a good line. Honestly, you should just go full blood sports and just go, why are you a bitch? Why you let Sam Coates fucking dunk on you, you fool? Imagine this cockboy fucking loser. Imagine how fucking... Putin must have had him bent over a fucking table. Jesus!
Leadership, and he talks about integrity. I'm sorry, when you get convicted for breaking the COVID rules, which you imposed on the rest of the country, you really shouldn't be talking about integrity in politics.
Rishi Sunak?
True.
Well, leadership means being straight with people about what you plan
Tax.
to do. I've set out my plans clearly, and I appreciate, actually, that not everyone's going to agree with me on everything, but at least you know where I stand. Now, Keir Starmer is not being straight with you about his plans to raise your taxes. I don't think that's leadership. I don't think that people should surrender their family finances to the Labour Party, and that's the choice.
Mentioning the word surrender, did we see his new poster that he put out? The don't surrender your family's future thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, with their hands up. You're like, what's the point of this? Are you suggesting he's going to hold your family at gunpoint? Why are their hands up? Like, what the fuck? Also, surrender. It's a vote, you prat. What do you mean surrender?
Did you see the video they did of, like, if you vote Labour, they'll roll out the red carpet for migrants, and literally had, like, a video of someone literally rolling out a red carpet on, like, a beach or some shit.
So
and then you realise, this is how they spend their campaign money. Well, if that's their attitude to spending money, it probably shows you why the public finances are in such a fucking state.
True. Also, is there annoyance that just the red carpet? Because you've let loads of people in, my man. So are you just like, we won't use a red carpet? In which case, are you literally actually suggesting, it's not even a poetic thing at this point, you're literally saying that Keir Starmer is actually going to use a red carpet? Because, I mean, I don't know how else to take it, my man. You've just bollocksed it all up.
For people at this election.
Well, let me just address that, if I may, because we have set out in our manifesto all of our plans. They're fully funded, they're fully costed. And we've set out that we will not be increasing income tax, national insurance or VAT. What the Prime Minister is doing, he's got a manifesto that's got promises to you and everybody watching, which are unfunded, because his Chancellor has said that the money he's relying on has already been spent. Now, that is the mistake that Liz Truss made. That's what cost so many people so much.
What I didn't realise with this £2,000 claim, even though obviously the maths have been attacked relentlessly, and it's bollocks, what I didn't also realise is that that's over the 4 years of the first Parliament.
Yeah, so
right?
500. It's 500 quid per year.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a massive lie then, because nobody in the history of the world says your taxes go up £2,000 and not mean it per year.
Exactly.
So you're essentially quadrupling the amount that you lied that he's going to raise it anyway.
And on top of that, it's £500 per person, as if people pay the same rate of tax. I'm like, well, no. Most of those taxes are going to get paid by the top 30%, which, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's the case.
Like, it's just their fucking creativity with numbers shows you why the economy's in the shitter. Because it's just play numbers. It's nothing.
across this country, and now we've got to repeat unfunded commitments, lots of promises, but where's the money coming from? The Chancellor himself has said the money was spent last year, it isn't available. And if there's 5 more years of this, we're going to have the same as we've got now, a cost of living crisis bearing down on people across this country, really struggling because the economy is broken. And this is the chance at this election to turn the page and start to rebuild our country with a stable economy.
Okay.
Well, Michelle, what the Chancellor did this morning was ask his opposite number, Keir Starmer's Shadow Chancellor, to rule out raising all your taxes beyond what they've already announced in the first budget. And the Shadow Chancellor wasn't able to do that today. That's what the Chancellor did today. But you don't have to listen to me. Just go online, go to the Telegraph website, because we've just found a recording that they have put out there from the Deputy Chancellor from the Labour Party admitting that their plans will cost hundreds of billions of pounds.
I'm just going to explain something to anyone.
Yeah, just to point out here, this is another basically lie. The recording doesn't say this is going to cost hundreds of billions of pounds in taxes. It says the plans will take hundreds of billions to come to fruition, the vast majority of which will come from the private sector, changing to meet the new demands. That's it. So it's not hundreds of billions of pounds of more tax, which is what he seems to be suggesting here. So again, it's just fudging bullshit, you know.
Exactly.
That is going to cost all of you thousands of pounds of tax rises. That's why I say Keir Starmer and the Labour Party are not being straight with you. So do not surrender to their tax rises.
Let me just explain. This is a reference to Darren Jones, the Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury, one of your senior Treasury team, who in a recording given to the Daily Telegraph has said decarbonising the British economy will cost hundreds of billions of pounds.
We've set out in our manifesto what we want to do to go to renewable energy, and we've set out how much that will cost, exactly how much is going to be put in.
It's really important to point out as well, right? So the green energy plan now, I think, is over. It's just £8 billion. So it was the Conservatives' £4 billion plus Labour adding £4.7 billion of their own spending on top of the existing plans for government investment in green energy, with a changed way they're doing it through the National Wealth Fund. So over the course of a parliament, that's going to come in at about £40 billion. And they say, of course, this is not something they can guarantee, they want to get £3 of private for every £1 of public. So that's going to be another 75. Sorry, even so, it's 120 billion pounds for the private sector. Yeah. So even by their own plans, as you've made it clear, this is the kind of investment that they think that they are going to be able to get with their current investment plans over the course of the parliament. So yeah, it will be 100 billion. Like, fine, yeah, cool. That's the numbers they've already told you. We know this.
Also, again, not to get too like meta with it, but can we have this explained out in a number of Lego bricks, please?
True.
Like, you come back from holiday and you're just phoning it in now. You're not giving us the Lego brick mathematics on this, and I just can't put it into context without that.
That's going to be funded. Yes, it is absolutely right that we want to get in investors to come alongside that government money. And we've been talking, you won't be surprised by this, to global investors for the best part of 2 years to say that if we put...
Yes, you've been sucking off the richest in the world for 2 years. So desperate are you for power, we know.
Down this money set out in our manifesto, will you come alongside it and put down many more billions of pounds so that in partnership with the government we can make the change that we need?
Hang on.
No, let me just finish this.
I'm sure we're going to come back to the same theme later on.
This is your own Shadow Chancellor.
If you don't mind, I'm going to get to the next question because there are people waiting.
This is, again, where we need Dylan Burns to come in and cut mics off. This is ridiculous. This is debate, is it? Fucking hell.
How many hundreds is it? Is it 200?
I'm going to turn to the next question now.
Is it 400?
I think the Prime Minister must...
Let's just make up numbers and throw them out there. That's responsible from an ex-chancellor.
Bet on how many times he's going to interrupt me.
I do want to turn to the next question because lots of people are waiting.
That's such a shame he's such a shit A, politician, and B, joke teller. Because that's a good line. Because you know he's going to interrupt. That obviously he always does. He's a petulant little private schoolboy prick. He speaks over people. That's just what he does. So you literally have the line prepared. I bet he's put a bet on how many times he's going to interrupt me. Because that reminds people, oh yeah, the betting thing. But Keir Starmer's so inept that no one even heard it.
Call him a tech bro brother again. Do it. I'm sure that'll land.
Yeah, true.
And they've got important questions that they would like answers to. If you can hear any noises off, ladies and gentlemen, or anyone at home, there is a protest taking place outside, which is also an aspect of our democracy and people exercising their freedom of speech. Our next question here comes from Mary Armstrong.
Evening. I've worked 2 jobs since I was 18.
Oh, this fucking bitch. This bitch. Oh, the fucking framing of this drove me up the fucking wall. Sorry, just... I need to let that out.
I'm 60. And I think too many people don't understand how important and better it is for you to be working hard. I also think too many people
Oh, bites
are
Mac
allowed to
Fry.
work benefits. My question is, what are you going to do to help more people to come off benefits and back into work?
Mary, thank you very much.
Wow, I've worked 2 jobs for so long, and I just want you to shit on the poor people, please. How are you going to more shit on poor people? I'm a really serious person that you should take seriously. Go fuck yourself!
And it's just that what's so infuriating about the framing, right, is that this is essentially born out of conservative lies on this.
Yep.
The Tory press, the Tory members and the Tory MPs have hammered really heavily this idea that we're going to do welfare reforms because there's too many people scrounging benefits. And there are a lot of people who are relying on welfare payments at the moment. And the vast majority of these people who are out of work and on benefits are people who are long-term sick because they're stuck on NHS waiting lists because the Tories have destroyed our healthcare service, kneecapping our labour force participation rate and screwing economic growth, right? These people might want to work. They might be very much happier not working whilst being... I'm not going to try and intuit that, but they cannot work while they're long-term sick and while our NHS is completely on the floor. That's just a fact, right? The actual people who are there who are unemployed and taking welfare payments, right? So they don't have a job, but they're not long-term sick. It's like a record low. We have record low unemployment in this country, apart from like a couple of years ago. Like it's still really low in terms of like historical standards. Last time it was this low as a period was in the 70s. That's how far back you have to go. So there's not this big glut of unemployed people scrounging away. And even on top of that, 40% of people who are receiving universal credit fucking in work.
Yep.
The people who aren't getting paid enough, right? They're not getting paid enough because pay is shit in this country because of the supply side labour market reform. The Tories have been pushing since 2010 to kneecap workers so that more money filters up into the hands of their super rich donor fucking mates. That people having to have their wages topped up with benefits from the state, which the state can't afford because we cut taxes on people that all the money is going to. There's the trickle-down economics garbage that we've had 45 years to the nth degree, and they've managed to get people to take it out on those who are so immiserated by their poor working conditions, they have to take benefits to top up their fucking wages. And this woman here, she works 2 jobs because she can't afford to pay the bills, right? She's in the position where she can afford to. People have kids, people have responsibilities, they care for their loved ones, right? Not everybody can take 2 jobs and has to therefore have that wages topped up. The solution to this, of course, is to bang on about welfare cheats, which again, very few people are in this position, a tiny, tiny proportion are welfare cheats. When we could be saying, well, why aren't your wages bigger? You work 2 jobs. 1 job should be enough for you to be able to support yourself.
Well, that's my point, yeah. How much of a fucking capitalist cock have you got to be? To say, I work 2 jobs, and I deserve to work 2 jobs. I shouldn't be able to work 1 job and earn a living. No. They should work me into the ground like I'm a fucking a mule down a medieval mine. Just work me till I'm fucking dead. Like, you're pathetic. Grow a fucking spine, for the love of God.
I mean, I'm not surprised that people are like this. Again, this is cultural.
I'm not surprised. I'm disgusted.
Oh yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, again, I'm not angry with it. I feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for the fact that she's been sold this lie that the entirety of the economics is just individual actors interacting with each other in individual ways rather than collective systems of power and systems of incentive and ways in which the people of mutual interests can affect each other collectively rather than individually. And that's sad.
Yeah. And yes, I did pre-watch this, yes. I rarely do, but on this occasion I did because I wanted to.
I have not watched this because I was on a plane.
Yeah.
Much for that. Keir Starmer, what are you going to do to get more
Mary,
people
thank you for
off work,
raising that.
off benefits and into work?
Yeah, can I first agree with you that
Also, pausing again. Sorry to pause, Andy, but At no point, I'm gonna. I've not watched this. At no point will Keir Starmer talk about low wages. At no point at all will he talk about incentivizing people into work by having better wages and better terms. And I guarantee he will not mention it one fucking time. Right? I'm gonna call it. He's not going to say, well, the Tories have screwed over your wages. We should be 11k higher if they properly invested in workers' wages. He won't say any of that shit. He'll just bang on about welfare cheats being people who should be fucking thrown into, chopped up in bin bags and thrown in the fucking river.
Of course, about pay and being able to pay your own way and, you know, support your family, but it is also about dignity and respect. And my dad worked in a factory all his life. He was a tool maker.
Hey! I mean, were you around for him doing his victim playing thing? Of like, they're laughing at him. What? There's nothing embarrassing about being a toolmaker. No one's laughing at the fact that he was a toolmaker. They're laughing at you for saying it every 5 fucking seconds, like you've got toolmaker Tourette's, you prat.
Tourettes.
Tourette's, yes.
Having a secure job for him was really important to his respect and integrity. In relation to those that are out of work, my rule is this: if you can work, you should work. And we've got a plan to get people into work, working with businesses to support people in. I think we need to change the job centre and the careers service, because at the moment, when I ask businesses, if you have a vacancy, are you going to the job centre to get that vacancy filled? They say they're not, so we need to do that. The other thing, Mary, that we absolutely need to do is to get the waiting lists down in the NHS, because very many people aren't able to work or to work in the way they want because they're waiting for an operation because of the catastrophic level of waiting lists under this government.
So let's hear your first response, Rishi Sunak.
I mean,
to Mary's.
He did say something. He did acknowledge half of what I said at the very least, right? More than I was expecting, but my expectations are low. But again, just we can't talk about the 40% of people who are on in-work benefits. Like, this is a scandal. This is a national scandal that 40% of welfare claimants are in work because wages are that shit and the cost of living is so high, especially because of the horrendous housing situation.
There are people with jobs who use fucking food banks. Literally, people
nurses,
who would otherwise
nurses
who would otherwise be calorie deficient.
Yeah,
literally. I mean, we've got now the I forget, was it there's the not Zoomers, the Gen Gen Alpha kids, right, are now on average a centimetre shorter than their millennial counterparts were at the same age.
Yep.
We are literally stunting the growth of a generation because of poor nutritional intake, which is basically the only reason we were ever short back in the past, was literally calorific intake as a child.
Yeah.
Lots of people were very poor, didn't even enough. That's why rich people were actually a lot taller in the past as well. Anyway, regardless of that, the reason we've now grown larger is because of calorific intake being more regular, especially in the Western world. Anyway, we are now so calorific deficient that we're now seeing fucking starvation cases in hospitals and stunted growth in children. Like a fucking medieval peasant backwater.
Oh yeah, I saw like there was a person on the Question Time audience saying, "Well, I'm a mental health practitioner, and like a lot of the time I just get kids coming in here just saying that their mental health is shot because their parents can't afford to fucking feed them." And I'm like, this is Victorian. This is a Victorian society that we've created because we decided that we'd given up on the idea of redistribution.
Yep.
Question: what are you going to do to get people off benefits?
Mary, there's a clear choice for you and everyone who believes like you do the situation isn't right. Because if you want lower taxes and lower welfare, that's what I'll deliver. If you want higher taxes and higher welfare, that's what Keir Starmer will do. So I strongly agree that people are better off in work. It's not just for the financial security it brings you, it's about the purpose, the dignity that it brings to people, which you alluded to.
Oh, bite, mash, fry.
Agree with. The number of people currently out of work on ill health and disability benefits is too high.
What's crazy,
it's gone
right?
up by 800,000 since the
pandemic.
It's gone up
if
by
you pause 1 sec, there is a good leftist answer to this question, which isn't that work sets you free or it makes you a better person or it's uniquely dignifying, right? Is that there is satisfaction in contributing to society and contributing to your community, right?
Yep.
Rather than being a cog in the wheels of capitalism, being a little economic unit, right? You're a part of a community. You provide a role right? And that I think is good. I think this is how the communist states viewed it, right? You weren't economic unit, but you did contribute to your community. And I think that you can call it undignified. You can say, well, you may not enjoy it, but at least you can feel that there is something good that you're providing to other people, rather than it being uniquely dignified because this Protestant work ethic shit that these people are both internalized as well, and they can't even fucking get that basic bar. And as well, they can't even acknowledge this idea that wages and attracting people to work is a function of government policy. It's a function of labour market policy, because everybody is internalized. It's market fundamentalists, right? Labour market just is how it is. Governments can't affect it. If businesses don't want to hire you, that's your own fucking fault. And lipshits do this too. I saw some fucker on Twitter tweeting out this, well, if you're angry about an immigrant taking your job, then you're just a stupid fucking silly idiot, like intellectually stunted like ape or whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, it's just gonna win fucking people over, isn't it? With your own like Thatcherite viewpoint about how labor markets work. No, how about we should be trying to protect these people from losing their jobs, even whilst immigration happens, through collective bargaining agreements. But these are all Thatcherites. They believe in market fundamentalism as well.
Yep.
60% the bill in the last few years. We've got to do something about that. I made a speech about this a few months ago. I set out a comprehensive plan to reform the welfare system, to tighten it up so that those who can work do work. We're stricter about those eligibility criteria. That's fair for all of you who are working hard, paying your taxes. It's better for those people, and that's what I'll do. But when I announced that, and just again recently, Keir Starmer and the Labour Party opposed every single thing that I set out to deliver what you want. Every single thing. They do not think that you can save a single penny in the growing welfare bill. Okay. That's what their numbers show.
What? What the he's just saying words now. They're just sentences that are just abstract of anything. They're gonna cut the fucking welfare bill as well, you prat. What the just shut the fuck up, Rishi, and piss off to California, will ya?
That's what they've said. So the choice for you is clear. If you want lower welfare and lower taxes, I will deliver that for you. Higher taxes and higher welfare is what you will get with Keir Starmer.
We actually have a related question, so I'm going to bring in Beverly McKenzie now.
I've worked all my life, but had to stop due to illness. Disabled people like me get hit in the worst way when we want to get back to work and help, but often we can't. How will candidates ensure we're not punished by benefit sanctions?
Thank you very much. Rishi Sunak, so you've said you tighten the system, you'd be stricter. What does that mean for people like that?
Now, I already know
sorry, what was I
that they don't answer this question well.
Go on.
Yeah, I've already seen people tweet about this on Twitter. I've not watched this, but people tweeted saying that they were asked this specifically and they didn't talk about in a compassionate way at all. I'm like, well, yeah, of course. This is a government, this is a party of government who've been reprimanded by the fucking United Nations for violating the systemic human rights violations of disabled.
I think you mean Hamas, because the UN is Hamas. So.
True, that's true. UN is Hamas, that's true.
Beverly.
Beverly. I actually believe in a compassionate welfare system that supports everyone who genuinely needs it. And you saw me do that during COVID, making sure we got support to the most vulnerable. Right? That will always happen under a Conservative government, always happen under me. But what we won't do
is mostly Tory lords that got the money, though, are.
There's the Peter Gogan was on Politics Joe and saying, actually, like, the rabbit hole is just so much deeper than people think it is. Do you know, Conservative Party members and hangers-on were 10 times more likely to get selected for contracts than people who were trying to tender by the normal routes.
The fast track wasn't just like a kind of one-off thing. Like, the fast track was literally the way in which they did it, yeah. If you were a Tory Party donor or member or family had invested or whatever, yeah. You were almost guaranteed to make a fucking boatload.
Absolutely. Also, thank you, Questionable Fantasy, for the £10 super chat. I appreciate the support. Nothing makes you feel more dignified than making a billionaire richer by doing a repetitive task 12 hours a day in a lightless factory so I can pay a landlord to look after their investment property. Yep, absolutely. Fucking the living experience under capitalism. But at least Reform UK are going to promise to give us negative gearing so landlords can make even more fucking money. Love it. Brilliant. Thanks.
Is have a system where people are not supported into work if they can work. So what we're going to do is make sure that we reform the fit note, sick note process, which isn't working. It's signing far too many people off as not fit for work.
No, Rishi, shut up.
Benefits and sanctions.
Look, he says it's signing off too many people sick for work. It's medical professionals doing this. The fact that more people are getting signed off is an indictment of you, not of the fucking process. It's the indictment of your failure to keep your country healthy, Rishi. And what are you going to do? Well, actually, we're going to make sure they're signing fewer people off. So people who are too sick to work go into the fucking salt mines. I fucking hate this cunt so much. Oh, dear Lord. Dry ships. And what they want to do, their plan for this is to replace doctors issuing notes as medical professionals, have it fucking subcontracted out to Capita or G4S or some shit, to have specialized assessment people, i.e. private sector busybodies who are there to try and sanction as many people as possible and to target themselves for rubber stamping as few claims as possible, to try and force disabled people to work. And this is his response to somebody who's saying, how are you going to protect disabled people from being sanctioned unnecessarily? This man's a fucking barbarian. He really is.
Well, when I literally said they're not going to,
yeah,
I wasn't wrong.
To provide active support for people into work, but I also think that if people have been offered jobs that they can do and that they don't take them, then that's not okay. So after 12 months, what I've said is we will do something about that. If your job coach says to you, look, there's work that you can do, that everyone agrees you can do, there's a job for you that you're fit enough and well enough to do, and you refuse to take it,
Rishi,
I don't think that's fair
Rishi.
on everyone.
As been pointed out by David, thank you in chat. Of course, you want to tackle the welfare bill. Why don't we apply it to pensioners, Rishi? There are plenty of 68-year-olds who could be sitting at home answering calls from the fucking call centre, right? That's not something that old people are incapable of doing. They're turning down these jobs to get their gold-plated triple lock plus pensions you're offering them. Why not get these fuckers? Why not these coffin dodgers? Why not get them working for a bit?
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, they shouldn't. Like, this is obviously a
no,
meme,
exactly.
Right?
But they vote and they matter.
I mean, before I get people get mad at me, because I do have old people in my chat who I love, by the way. I love socialist old people. It makes me feel, it stops me being mad at your generation in its entirety, because I know there are good people out there. This is obviously a meme. This is a joke. This would be a ridiculous thing to say. But why we're not allowed to say about old people rightfully, yet we're allowed to say about disabled people for some reason? I wonder why.
I'm not ageist. Some of my best friends are old.
And on top of that, like, we literally have like the conservative press like scapegoating disabled people by saying, look how much the government spends on notability. And I'm just like how much of a depraved subhuman sack of shit, like monster, like a real fucking slug do you have to be to write Telegraph articles demonizing people who have ambulatory issues that they need to be able to have government assistance to buy a car to put their wheelchair in? Like, these people are rodents. These people are absolute fucking like parameciums. They genuinely, I do not recognize their humanity.
Yeah.
Else after 12 months of support, so we will tighten that up. I think that's fair for everybody, because fundamentally I think that those people who can work should work. That's, I think, a fundamental tenet of fairness in our system, which most people will agree with. That's why I think we can save money in the welfare bill, because it's forecast to grow at an extraordinary rate over the next few years.
Starmer,
and I want to use that money to support people
Starmer, just
and
one
to cut
second.
your taxes.
What is wrong, if you believe it is wrong, what Rishi Sunak is saying, that if someone is offered a job and they can do that job, and they turn it down, that's wrong?
Just a completely fucking, unbiased moderator, completely unbiased moderator here.
Yeah, not
going,
Tory. Definitely not Tory.
That's an interesting question from the person in the audience about how we're going to protect the disabled. Mr. Starmer, what would you do to ensure more disabled people die and we save for the welfare budget by killing all the poor and raising VAT? And what we got going on? Yeah, please respond to Sunak's point about killing all the poor. What?
Yep.
No, there's nothing wrong with that, and I just want to address...
I didn't tell you she was a
opposed it when I announced it. You literally opposed it.
If you listen to people in the audience across the country more often, you might not be quite so out of touch. Beverly...
Well, that was pretty good, to be fair.
Yeah.
Beverly, can I just address the point you make? Because it's a really important point, which is very many people with illness or disability do want to get back into work for the very reason that was alluded to before, the respect, the dignity, and the support that it gives them. But it's difficult to do so because they're worried about whether they can do it and whether they'll last a period of months. So what a number of firms are doing, businesses, and I've been to see this myself, and I support this, is having a supported scheme where people can be supported back into work for a number of months to make sure they can make that transition and get back into work. I think that's a really good scheme. That's what we would put into place. But I do have to address this question. The Prime Minister keeps saying he's going to cut taxes. He has raised tax 26 times.
Right, so that started off okay. But again, he's still not actually addressing the question: how would we protect these people from sanctions? He's talking about how these disabled people, we'll get you stacking shelves at Tesco in no time, or protect you while we do, right? Which it's fair to say we will be able to protect. 'Cause, I mean, I think their plan is to let these people keep their benefits whilst they go back into work, which is fine if people want to do this. It's not forced. That's not a terrible policy that helps people who do genuinely want to work, who are disabled, kind of pace themselves back. But at no point does he detail the actual response here, which was, how are you going to protect people from not being sanctioned? Which, of course, the correct way is to allow medical professionals to be the ones doing the distinction.
Nobody's raised more tax than this Prime Minister.
This is not a question about tax. This is a question.
Okay, but you hang on. You fucking reframed it as the exact opposite of the person in the audience. So why the fuck can't he decide? Well, I'm just going to answer whatever fucking question I like. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Well, she's just a Tory cunt. It's ridiculous. They really have done some institutional capture with this shit, man. Embarrassing.
We'll get onto the institutional capture later. There is one clip I absolutely have seen, and my God, I have the mother of all rants. I have the mother of rants brewing, and I hope people are looking forward to that.
Go.
About getting people back to work. So the numbers have risen considerably since the COVID pandemic. The numbers of people economically inactive due to long-term sickness has risen to 2.8 million. So how would you, you are seeking power, what would you get those numbers down to through the approach you're talking about?
We want to get the numbers right down. We want to, with a plan to get people back into work. Partly that's supported. Partly it's the changes that we want to make to the job centres to make sure that where businesses and public services, the NHS doesn't go to the job centre when it's got vacancies. They should do, so we want to merge those two services. But the other thing, if we're going to get people back into work,
the NHS and the job centre.
These terrible waiting lists, because nearly 8 million people are on the waiting list. And so it's not their fault that they can't get back into work.
People are laughing at the changes to the job centre stuff, and I do, it is pretty funny. But their plan for job centres, according to Jonathan Ashworth, when he was DWP, it's now Liz Kendall, was there, I think she said the same line as well, they're going to use artificial intelligence to help in job centres. I'm like, oh, okay, or we're just going to do Robodebt. We're just going to borrow the Robodebt scandal over from Australia.
Also, bingo. Just use AI for it, it'd be fine.
It's the fault of the government that's put us in this terrible position. We have to address these
fundamentally. There's a very clear choice and there's a very clear dividing line. I think you've got to change the eligibility criteria in the welfare system. You've got to make it clear that people who can work should work. That means looking at all the gateways we have and actually being more rigorous about asking people to provide medical information when they're making these claims, reforming the sick note process.
These are two of the most pathetic human beings. It's fucking sad to watch. These are the two best our system could dredge up.
Yep.
Fucking
Christ.
Stricter about saying to people who don't accept a job after 12 months that that's not okay. Those are all the practical things that I've set out. I think that's fair. Now, Keir Starmer can stand here tonight and say what he wants. When I made that speech, and you can all go and read it and see what they said, they opposed every single measure. Just 2 weeks ago, they were asked about it. They said, we oppose all those measures. So it's one thing to stand here and say all these things. You should at least be upfront with people. You don't think my approach is the right one. You are going to have higher welfare under you, and that's why you can't deliver tax cuts the way that I can. And people should not surrender to this.
No, how are you clapping? What the fuck are you clapping for?
I don't know.
That was meaningless. He said nothing.
I don't know who these people are that clap on the.
But again, literally, I mean, Keir Starmer said the most salient. I can't believe Keir Starmer actually made a real salient point here, which is the welfare bill is high because the waiting lists are too high, and that's the fault of Conservative management of the NHS. And that whole point has just been kind of lost in the wind because we've decided to spend the entire time talking about how much we can fucking democide our own disabled people. What the hell is going on?
Also, as pointed out, they already ask ridiculously extensive medical information when making any kind of assessment for disability benefit. So what else are they going to need to record? What, their fucking inside seam length? What are you asking for?
Will the welfare welfare bill,
The Prime Minister
will
says
the
he's going to do
welfare
all
bill
these
be
things.
higher
They've
under
been
you,
in
Keir
power for
Starmer?
14 years. Why has he only just thought of this with a week to go before the general election? Honestly, if there's that much wrong with the system, who's the guy in charge of the system over the last 14 years? Why is it so bad?
Well, Keir, you want to be in charge, but you've got nothing to say to people about what you would do about it. This election is about the future.
I mean, he's not wrong.
True, but like there have to be some Tory plans. Who the fuck is clapping this? Like, genuinely who? That's meaningless.
Yeah, I know.
The welfare bill be higher under you, Keir Starmer, if
No,
elected?
it needs to come down. It needs to come down.
Again,
by
the
getting
cast
people
iron
back into work.
consensus has said it has to come down by millions. We have to literally start threshing disabled people or something. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, but again, like they'll never say by removing the triple lock or increasing the state pension age. I don't think either of those things should happen. I think we should tax the rich, right? But you know, again, why is it only the disabled people who get the short end of the stick here, or people who are too sick to work because they're on an NHS waiting list? And again, just hammer up this. If somebody's to hammer this home, every single point should be no. The vast majority of people are sick. They're on waiting list, and that's the Conservative Party's fault because they destroyed the NHS deliberately and maliciously with every single policy they passed in health and social care for the last 14 years, right? If you want to blame anybody for the high welfare bill, on top of that, whoa, there's another benefit we not even discussed yet: housing benefit, right? Not only are 40% of people who are in work on like top-ups for their shitty wages, huge swathes of the country who are in work are getting paid money because they can't afford their rent to private landlords. They throw that liquidity into the housing market again to push up house prices to make rents even more unaffordable, when we could have been having council houses that did the opposite, which generated revenue for the exchequer rather than spaffing away billions of pounds in landlord subsidy every year.
Yep.
A clear plan, and it needs to come down by tackling the waiting lists so that more people can get back into work, which is why one of the first things that we will do if we're elected in to serve our country, serve being the word I choose, is to put in place 40,000 extra appointments, NHS appointments, each and every week. That's 2 million a year to drive down those waiting lists, to give people the comfort and operations that they need, and to allow them to get back into the economy so that we can grow the economy, which is the thing that's been missing.
Okay, hang on, but how does 40,000 GP appointments help get down people waiting for operations? Because that's not a GP thing by and large.
That's
in fact, if
genius.
anything, that would actually make it potentially worse, because people who would have gone undiagnosed, I'm glad, by the way, they are going to get diagnosed and be referred to a specialist, but that just means that you can have more people needing particularly non-emergency operations. So, like, it's just not an answer to the point. But, you know, whatever. I think there should be way more GP appointments, obviously, but it's not the answer to. It's not a fucking panacea.
So desperately over the last 14 years.
What Keir Starmer's not telling you is actually most of the people who we're talking about, who Sue asked about originally, aren't on an NHS waiting list. So talking about that isn't an answer to this problem.
Nearly 8
the
million.
answer to this problem is actually being stricter about the eligibility criteria, making sure that everyone who can work does work, because that's fair to everyone like Sue, who is working very hard. And
It's just a dialogue tree. You've said every sentence in this fucking bit so far.
And again, she said we're going to be fair to Sue, who's working really hard. Why is her wages so shit she has to work 2 jobs, Rishi? Why is this the conversation we're having? Not the fact that somebody, to be able to afford to fucking live, has to work 2 fucking jobs. Yep. Why is this the discourse? I'm going to lose my brain. I can't believe I do this as a job. I can't believe I was excited to come back to this from my holiday.
It's really, really galling to give a guy whose family is worth more than the fucking king say, actually, what we need to do is shit on the disabled, because they're taking just too much. They're hoovering too much of the national wealth, really. Anyway, I'm off to California. Toodles. Like, it's galling beyond belief.
Oh yeah, I mean, literally, all it reminds me of is that King's speech moment in 2010, the very first Osborne budget, was the Queen's speech at the time, sorry, of the fucking, the unelected monarch sitting on top of her golden throne with her jewel-encrusted hat, talking about everybody else tightening their fucking belts, and it's just been downhill ever since.
Yeah. or being told by the same group of people that we need to modernise. That's all it gets to me. You've literally got dickheads in powdered wigs. You've got a guy called Black Rod, and you don't giggle every time that gets said. Like, what the fuck? What world are you in? You bell end.
And putting in, that's what I will do. I promise you I will deliver on it. We will cut the welfare bill, the growth in the welfare bill. It is unsustainable. We spend too much on it. I've set out a plan to do so. Labour oppose all of it, so the choice for you is simple. If you want higher taxes and higher welfare, that's what Keir Starmer will do. If you want lower taxes and lower welfare, that's what I will do. Do not surrender to...
Do not surrender. He's trying to make it a thing, and I feel like it's a Mean Girls meme. Stop trying to make surrender a thing. It is not going to be a thing.
I mean, I think also I don't think it helps either. Like, it makes him look desperate. Like, this is the point where he's gotten applause for this. He's been applauded by trying to make points, lies of course, but he's trying to make points at the very least that are rooted in reality. But now do the scaremongering thing, it makes him look desperate. We know he is desperate because they're fucking tanking.
Well, yeah, because they're going to get wiped out. They generally, I mean, yeah, the chances of them being the opposition are greater than them being the government. Oh, sorry, of not being the opposition are greater than them becoming government. So, like, it could be the death of the Conservative Party. The tiny, stalking death of the Conservative Party.
Also, by the way,
system to the...
you know what also is expensive, right? Existing, right?
That is.
You know how you can contribute to the welfare. You can make sure that the welfare bill is lower in this country. You can subscribe on Twitch for $4.99. All for free with Twitch Prime by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account for a free subscription to either myself or Kevin each month, which gets you all the benefits of ad-free viewing all of our animated and static emotes in Twitch chat. You can drop bits messages, which are text-to-speech, 100 on my end, 200 on Kev's end. If you want a message read out on YouTube, you can super chat. I read them all out, so they're not rude. And of course, you can also become a member on YouTube, which is 99p cheaper than a can of Red Stripe, for access to my archive live streams, my static emotes in YouTube chat and YouTube comment section. But the best way to support the stream, as always, is to gift memberships to your fellow viewers to boost the stream in the algorithm and also to be able to spread the love around and help support the stream. So if you do not have a message, but you do want to support the stream, the best thing that you can do is gift YouTube memberships to your fellow viewers. If you'd like to do so, I do need that because I've been off work for a week and I've made no money in that time.
Well, I just want to point out, just for clarity's sake, if you don't give me money, and I'd be grateful if you did give me money, but I won't actually be on the dole. I do have a position that's a sort of semi-open one, so I won't actually literally starve to death if you don't give me money.
You do like bouncer shit in the background, don't you?
Well, not bounce, I'm a security guard.
Security
nothing as common as riffraff as bouncing. Although technically I do have the license that I could do bouncing with, but no.
Yeah.
No.
The security guard stuff, okay.
It's boring as fuck, but I do get to watch a lot of American sport overnight, which is nice. So yeah, just for clarity's sake, that will not actually keep the public expenditure down in any way. But you can still give me money, and I would appreciate it.
Well, the security guard stuff, that explains the degenerate hours now, doesn't it?
Literally, yeah. That's literally the point. Yeah, you get paid a livable wage if you do nights. If you do days, you're fucked. But
the Labour Party and Keir Starmer.
I'm going to turn to our next question on that note, and this one comes from Steve Curtis.
Good evening, all. We're an island. Why can't we easily close our borders?
Because of things called aeroplanes, you daft cunt. There you go.
Oh, yeah, there's literally
aeroplanes, boats. There's literally a fucking tunnel with a train that goes from France now. Don't know if you heard about that 40 fucking years ago. Like, yeah, people can literally swim here. It's actually not that difficult to get here. The fucking Vikings. We couldn't close the fucking Vikings off. What are you doing? You bella. How the fuck did your family get here, mate? You fucking... Some people are too stupid. Build a wall. They've got fucking aeroplanes, mate. What the fuck is that? It's not the Middle Ages. We can't just shut ourselves off. You need international cooperation. Oh no, that would be too much, because fuck Europe. Fuck you, Europe. Oh, why are they sending us everyone? I wonder. Sorry, people like this dickhead annoy me.
Thank you, Steve, for that question. Keir Starmer.
Steve, the biggest threat to our borders at the moment is the very many people arriving by small boat over the channel.
Yeah, they're a massive threat. So the real threat to the country is disabled people and desperate people fleeing wars that we fucking started. Bravo. There's your leader of the fucking Democratic Socialist Party.
No, actually, I think you'll find that the real problem is people coming here from Bangladesh.
Well, he's about to get into that. And honest to God, Keir Starmer, fucking end. Go and play Roblox. Thank you, Bob Bacon Man with 200 bits, who says, fuck off Tory. And I do hope you're not referring to me there. That would be a weird
I had someone in my chat saying, "Oh, well, you sound like you want reform to win," and I unleashed hell on that chatter. Probably not reasonable, but was probably unwarranted. But I had the rant brewing inside me about the fucking not allowed to criticize the red team people, and that person just unfortunately happens to be in the position of making me angry.
Well, all I'll say is, I don't want them to win, but if they did win, I could take the solace from knowing that cunts like that would be annoyed by it. I always try and look, I'm a very happy-go-lucky man, as I'm sure you're aware. I try and look for the positives, the silver lining in everything. And Nigel Farage grinning would annoy me, but the fact that it would piss the fucking shit out of Supertansky it makes my heart flutter. I'll just be honest with you.
Oh yeah. No. Cockquobble Twitter in meltdown.
Honestly. I still need to get Bowler Hatman back on to tell me about the socialist future under Keir Starmer. It needs to happen. It's not an issue.
Absolutely. No. Not socialism. Marxist capitalism.
Marxist capitalism, yeah. But anyway, Bangladeshis, it's not an issue.
And there are record numbers. Since Rishi Sunak became Prime Minister, 50,000 people have come across by small boat. And the government has effectively lost control of our borders. And that means it's not just a border security issue, it's actually a national security issue, because the government's lost control of who's coming and what their background is. Now, I think that nobody.
General election 2024.
Sorry, hang on. Please go back to where it was.
There are record numbers. Since
England are out of the World Cup.
Prime Minister, 50,000 people.
England are out of the World Cup?
Yep.
Oh, with the cricket. Sorry, I was about to say it's the European Championships, you dozy mare. Sorry, yeah. That's not that surprising, though. Frankly, they were a little bit more rain in Barbados away from not even getting out of the fucking group stage, so, you know, not the end of the world. Talking of the Euros, though, the England Lionesses men's team are not very good. I'm just
they really are.
It's clear it's a women's game, lads. Okay, I'm not sure this men's playing football is really going to take off. I don't think they've got the temperament.
New Zealand.
I don't think they've got the temperament for it. The men are just too emotional. They need to stop, really, I think. Or just wear tighter shorts. A piece of advice the former head of FIFA, Sepp Blatter, literally said about the women's game. Why isn't he in jail for a start? Just saying.
Have come across by small boat. And the government has effectively lost control of our borders. And that means it's not just a border security issue, it's actually a national security issue, because the government's lost control of who's coming and what their background is. Now, I think that nobody should be making that journey across the channel. And we have to smash the gangs that are running this vile trade. There are gangs that are making a fortune, putting people...
Smash the gangs, check it off on the bingo card.
Bingo. Thing is, as well as if we actually had people who were compassionate in this country, that were swing voters, that might be wanted to be appealed to, then we could literally make the point, well, they've lost control of who they're keeping track of, including 200 children who might be in the hands of gangs. And I'm just like, yeah, we could attack the Conservative Party for losing access to 200 refugee children, almost certainly being trafficked at this point in time, but they're brown refugee asylum seekers. So these are children that people in this country don't care about being trafficked. Like, it's so fucking depressing.
Yep.
That's not a point. That's not a good point scoring thing to say. Children are being trafficked because of this. The Prime Minister, because the brown children don't matter to these fuckers. So miserable.
Right, but he doesn't have to mention the brown kids. But just say you've lost 200 children. You're a monster. Would be a good thing to do. Just in general, that actually would be potentially a thing, because people go, "What? I've not heard of this." And then you couldn't be fact checked on it because we know it's happened. So. Anyway.
Absolute fortune. and I think they can be taken down. And Steve, before I was a politician, I was the chief prosecutor for England and Wales.
Bingo!
So I ran all criminal prosecutions in England, Wales, in all of our criminal courts, and we had to deal with terrorist plots and other plots, drug plots, and gun plots, which were across various other countries. We grouped together with police and law.
Any pedophiles that you didn't deal with, Keith?
I tell you what, the people who were charged with espionage by the United States, right? He had really strong policies for them, apparently. Although we don't know, because all the records have been destroyed. How convenient, Keith.
That is very strange. I mean, honestly, I'm sure he's furious about that, because he'd want his record to be known. I'm sure.
Everyone would know how much of a supporter of Assange that he really was. Yeah. But we now will never know because of those records being destroyed.
Across Europe, or we took down those terrorist gangs. I've seen it done. I've been part of the operations to do it. I do not accept, I will never accept, that the only gangs that apparently can't be taken down are the gangs that are putting vulnerable people in boats.
Because we haven't heard from him yet on Steve's question, which was, we're an island, why can't we easily close our borders?
Steve, you're right to highlight the issue. It's completely unfair what's happening. When people come here illegally...
You are the Prime Minister. You don't get to say it's unfair what's happening. You did this!
And
do you think you're an opposition politician, mate? What fucking world are you living in?
Okay, open up legal routes tomorrow, and people wouldn't take the votes. Super simple.
God
or safe routes even. They are like it is a legal. It's really important actually. I say safe and legal routes to get here. I just mean safe routes. I just mean safe routes to get regular routes to get here because arriving on a small boat and then claiming asylum is not illegal. That is the legal way in which you claim asylum in a country where you want to claim asylum. You become illegal if you have your asylum claim rejected and you don't leave, or you come here as a regular migrant or overstay your visa. Now you're an illegal immigrant. But arriving by a small boat and coming up onto the beaches and claiming asylum, that is that's an irregular method of arrival, but that is the way you claim asylum. Because you don't have documents, you cannot arrive via irregular means. Literally, on the government's website, they refer to them as migrants arriving via irregular means. And we have literal journalists for state-funded outlets calling these people illegal migrants. No, there is nothing illegal about arriving by a small boat and claiming asylum. That is how the Refugee Convention works. And a journalist framing it as illegal migration is literally doing Tory propaganda. It's just Tory electioneering being done by the courtiers of our fucking journalist class.
True, but that also means that Keir Starmer is doing Tory electioneering, which, I mean, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, of course he is, yeah.
Legally jump the queue. It not only puts pressure on public services, it not only threatens our security, it's an affront to that sense of fairness, which is fundamental to our national character, and that's why I've made...
Stop. Can we just stop? Can we stop? America does American exceptionalism worse than, like, any other country and all that. But we do our own version of this, where we lie to ourselves. We say, we're a nation of fair play. No, we aren't. We are one of the most unequal societies, consistently, ever. Land is owned by such a small group of people that it's embarrassing. Literally, we have a fucking monarch and stuff. When was this mythical time where we ever had issues of fairness or fair play? And they'll say, we're the least racist country. No, we're not. We're just not. What are you fucking talking about? Nigel Farage is running around the country. It might as well start Zig Heiling, frankly. I mean, what the fuck is going on here? Shut the fuck up. We are a deeply broken, pathetic, in some respects, backwater now. Let's stop pretending we're something we're not.
What's insane as well is that in the post-war period, we were the most equal economy in Europe. Under Conservative and Labour governments, under Attlee, Eden, Wilson, Macmillan, even Heath, we were one of the most. We were at some points the most equal country, and at other points one of the most equal countries in Europe in terms of the distribution of wealth and resources in this country because of the reforms made by the Attlee administration in the post-war period, and then fucking Thatcher ripped up, and now the country's a dump. It's a literal fucking dump.
Yep. We're literally poorer than the poorest states in America, if you take London away.
Yep.
Made it a priority to stop the boats. We have made progress. The numbers have come down over the past 12 months compared to the 12 months before. But in order to fully solve this problem, you need a deterrent. We need to make it crystal clear to people that if they come to our country illegally, they won't be able to stay. And that's why, if I'm your Prime Minister on July 5th, the flights will go to Rwanda. We will build that deterrent that multiple other European...
Right, but we know there's only one flight taking off on the 5th, and that's yours and your family's going to California. So it doesn't matter. What you say is irrelevant now.
Countries now agree is the right way to deal with this problem, and that's how we solve this problem. If Keir Starmer is your Prime Minister, all those illegal migrants will be out on our streets, and that is the choice for you. Do not surrender our borders to the Labour Party.
Steve, this is complete and utter nonsense.
On the numbers, Keir Starmer, just one moment. I just want to...
Again, some of these must be Tory plans. They just must be. Anyone clapping him on saying, I'm going to get rid of migrants... What the fuck? Do you not know anything? Do you literally not know anything about the amount of people?
Also, like, literally, this, but also like saying these people could be out on your streets. I'm just like, well, they're not fucking. Well, what do you think these people are? Again, it's exactly the same way that they demonize trans people. It's like if you spend any time around trans people, they will rape you and then also kill your dog whilst also pissing on your dinner. And I'm just like, we're not fucking. What do you think we are? Just like demons? I mean, yes, obviously, but
yeah.
I want to clarify something. Small boat arrivals did come down last year, but arrivals so far this year are at a record high. It's more than 13,000 people. Have you lost control, as Keir Starmer has said?
No. The numbers have come down over the past 12 months, as you acknowledge.
Michelle,
but the way to solve this problem is to have a deterrent. And look, I will tell you this. The Rwanda plan is a deterrent. You just have to listen to what the illegal migrants themselves are saying. One of them just said, most of us are still in France due to the fear we have about Rwanda. Another...
Do you want to listen to them when they say you should open safe and legal routes? No? Just the ones that agree with you that we have no evidence exist. Because you don't provide any access to that information. We don't know where these quotes are from, Rishi. I suspect they're from CCHQ.
Another one said, I won't cross the channel until the Rwanda plan is destroyed. If Labour win, the people smugglers are going to need a bigger boat. Don't surrender our borders to the Labour Party.
Surrender!
You would scrap the Rwanda plan.
Record numbers have come under this Prime Minister's watch. Record numbers coming across the channel. And he says it's a deterrent. There are a few hundred that would go on a flight to Rwanda at huge expense to the taxpayer. There are tens of thousands. 50,000 people have come since Rishi Sunak has been Prime Minister. 50,000 across the channel. A few hundred going every year means there's a 99% chance you're not going to Rwanda. Now, I've worked with criminal gangs, Rishi Sunak. I know that they are telling the people they're exploiting there's a 99%...
Well, to be fair, so is Rishi Sunak, but he just calls them colleagues. You know?
True.
9% chance of not going to Rwanda. That is not a disincentive. That is not a deterrent, and it's not working. If it were working, why are record numbers still coming under your watch, Prime Minister? How on earth can you say it's working? You put the scheme in place, the flights could go off. I noticed you called the election, by the way, before any flights could actually get off, and it could be tested, an interesting timing. But if this was such a deterrent, why is it obvious?
Literally, Rishi's face like, oh, fuck. That's a really good point. Bollocks. How do I answer that? Can I say £2,000 tax cut to this one? Oh.
Obviously not working.
You spent all this time when I first got this job saying call an election, call an election. Then when we call an election, you spend all your time saying why did you call an election? This is about the future. I can tell everyone what I'm going to do with illegal migrants who come to
Yeah, but you called an election because your backbenchers were literally about to fucking seize you prat.
And also, Starmer is also absolutely right. He definitely called the election because he knows the Rwanda plan is bunkum and said, well, you got to, if you don't elect me, we won't know whether it's going to work or not. Ooh, Rwanda mystery box.
Yeah, but look, but we all know it won't get passed because not only is Rwanda still not safe, it's now less safe than it was first ruled as not safe. And just passing a law saying, nah, Rwanda's safe, bro, doesn't make Rwanda safe. And so the Supreme Court are just going to say, still no? Why are you wasting our time with the same shit again?
To be fair, Kev, it has been successful in the fact that they've managed to send 2 people to Rwanda who went there voluntarily. Well, he paid like 5 figures for them to do it.
I know. We've basically paid 2 people to go on a long-term holiday. That's basically because it's voluntarily, right? So we just paid for their flights and gave them fuckloads of money to live in houses we bought and paid for. You know, we had constructed. How is that a good fucking plan, you dickhead?
Yeah, it turns out we can build council houses. After all, I shouldn't be mad that the government can't build councils. They clearly can build council houses. They can only build them in Kigali.
I was about to say that the MP for Kigali West must be loving it. The MPs here in Britain, though, maybe not so much.
No, right, exactly. The crazy bit is that these two people who they sent to Rwanda, people who had tried to claim asylum but had failed, but there was no returns agreement, so they would have had to make the journey back themselves, having not been given residence, because fair enough. So they were offered, we'll just get rid of you to Rwanda if you want to go. Just we say that we've got somebody there, and it's like, at this point, just give them a fucking visa. At this point, just say no recourse to public funds, whatever, no benefits. If you want to go out there and work, feel free, get a job. We've got a depleted workforce over here.
Yeah. Also, considering the number of houses they built, is it just the two people there? Because they're living like kings. They've got run of the place.
Rwandan citizens are getting access to those houses now.
Oh, are they? Oh, okay. Well, at least they're being used then.
We're solving the housing crisis, but we're solving the housing crisis in Kigali.
In Rwanda, yeah. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've no problem with our international aid budget going to such things. That seems like an appropriate thing to do. I just don't know that our immigration budget should be going to it. That seems like a weird thing.
We're instead of getting the revenue from them, increasing the productive capacity of the economy, we're having to throw money at them to get them to leave. Again, this is what I mean. I know I keep banging on about this, but I just want to hammer it into people's heads. Right, is that if we stop the kind of immigration, or we don't fix our birth rate crisis, either of the two, I don't mind which way, right? People have different opinions on different ways of doing it. I'm completely ambivalent as to how we do it, but we need to increase the working age population in this country because we have a lopsided population tree. Mm-hmm. And the people who are the ones absolutely hammering the idea that immigration absolutely must stop are people who are retired and people who are older who need access to the NHS. Yeah. I'm like, guess what funds this? A taxable income. Yeah. If the proportion of our population that makes taxable income because they're actually working rather than retired goes down, either taxes on working people have to go up, or retirement has to get worse. Of course, that's not going to happen because retirees vote all the time and vote for the right-wing party, so that's not going to go. So young people can have their wages put up. I need to impress upon every young person out there who's thinking, well, I should vote for Reform UK because my taxes will go down. They won't go down for long. As soon as they need to pay off the pensions of the boomers that keep these people in Rolexes as MPs, right? They will not touch the triple lock. What they will do is tax you because the welfare bill for pensions, because it is a benefit, pension, it's not something they pay into. It's part of the welfare state. It's a benefit that they get for being old. Once they stop being able to afford it because the working age population has shrunk so much because of our ridiculous birth rate, they're going to tax you even more. Like this Reform UK plan, it is literally a recipe for young people getting taxed to the fucking hill. And you're buying into it because Farage has said big chungus on Cameo. Like, think what the fuck you're doing with your life.
Yeah. Also, another way of getting the birth rate up would be not having literal tax incentives to not have more children. With the two-child benefit cap. Now, I don't think people are having or not having kids based upon that necessarily. But what I'm saying is it builds a culture of people wanting or not wanting to have children. You make it toxic for people to want to have children, they'll just nope out. Because as much as they may want children, they may feel it's not really viable or not fair to the child to bring them up in such a situation. So they'll just not. Which means your birth rate gets even worse and worse and becomes more lopsided, which means they're going to tax you even fucking more at some point. Because again,
exactly.
You can only kick the can down the road so far before you have to actually make a decision. What happens here? Do we tax rich people? Do we tax poor people? Do we make pensioners poorer? What do we do here?
Exactly. And this is the thing, is that people, no one is being honest with this population about the consequences of reducing immigration. And again, you can make cultural arguments for anti-immigration policy all you want. I fundamentally disagree, but I'm not going to quibble over this because I understand people have different opinions and that's just how the world works, right? But the economics of this problem, the economics is not something that you can fucking debate. Like, you have to make a choice. Do we make our country poorer, or do we make our country more brown, or do people start fucking? Like, that's your choice, Britain. That's your choice, Britain. And either you're going to admit that that's the choice, or going to continue trying to buy into lying politicians who could convince you can have your cake and eat it too. Because you can't. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to make a choice. That is what is coming down the road.
We become hardcore Catholics because they breed like fucking rabbits.
It's true, they do. I mean, this is one of the things about like the great replacement types will say. It's just like, oh well, Muslims are people who value having families together. I'm just like, I mean, I think there's a religious conviction amongst Catholics, Muslims, whatever, that does do that, right? You know, you've made the choice to not have children. That's your own fucking fault, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Yes. So I mean, look, if you look at the Irish diaspora, for instance, there may only be like 9 million people in Ireland, but there's like fucking hundreds of millions in the Irish diaspora around the world because Catholics keep fucking. And to quote the great Billy Connolly, I have to thank the Catholic Church for my existence because without the rhythm method, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Our country. They will be on planes, be sent away because they shouldn't be here. What will you do with the illegal migrants that arrive to the UK? What will you do with them? You've had 3 weeks to think of an answer. What is it?
We've got tens of thousands of people here who've come unlawfully. The Prime Minister says he'll send them all.
It's
to
not
Rwanda.
unlawful.
The Rwanda scheme takes...
Which you think he'd know, as you know, a lawyer, human rights lawyer. You think he'd know that? Oh, he does. He's just fucking lying. Awesome.
Yeah. What? Kevin.
Yes.
Let me get this straight. Are you saying that Sir Keir Starmer Casey, former Director of Public Prosecutions, right, son of a toolmaker, grew up in a pub, are you trying to claim that he lied about something? He might have been untruthful with words. That's quite an accusation to make of Sir Keir Starmer Casey. He's never done it before, has he?
I withdraw my previous remarks. Clearly, the honourable gentleman inadvertently misled Parliament and is overtired and is not a stool pigeon. So, thank you, Vogel, for gifting a sub. Thank you, by Pagaman with 200 bits, who says every sperm is sacred. Quite true. Again, to quote that song, I was a Catholic the moment Dad came, is an amazing line to put in a song. Anyway, we're on a hype train, everybody. If you get to level 2 of the hype train, I will finger Rishi Sunak's premiership, which is fucking dead.
Also, the thing is as well is that, like, the birth rate isn't going... It's going down for a multitude of different reasons. There's a really great video by Money and Macro about how different Western countries have different reasons for a declining birth rate, for example. And you made a really good point about our punitive welfare system. We could have far more incentives and things like free childcare and tax breaks for people who start families and things like this. And Reform UK are banging on about the decline of the family. And whatever, maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. You can say what you want about how they're going to try and get people to have a higher birth rate. They're clearly worried about this issue too.
Yeah, increase maternity and paternity leave as well. So that you not just have kids being born, but you have higher quality parenting time in the early years. Would be.
But I'm just like, if the promise, of course, is that no party, really and truly, including the ones who say they care about it, has a plan to make people able to have fucking families, right? Wages suck. People can't afford to live on a single income anymore. And they can't afford that because our housing stock got sold off into the hands of private individuals. We've not built council houses. We've not built high-density housing. We've not built stable housing. Who's going to have kids if your landlord can fucking kick you out, which they still be able to do, right? If they ban Section 21, they'll still be able to say, well, I'm selling it to however, you've got to vacate it, right? No. Have life tenancies in council housing. Then you can have the stability to have children, along with better incomes because you've got a unionised workplace, for example. Like, these things that we used to be able to do, like, this was the foundation of how I managed to build the family unit in this country. How many council houses do you think Reform UK are going to fucking build? I guarantee you it's going to be literally zero.
Yeah. Also, I saw in my recommended there the title of your stream, and I read it as Black and Tan, and I thought, what the fuck? But no, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. I was about to go IRA on you, Inflation Reduction Act. Anyway,
I'm back and tanned.
Come out,
I'm out.
back
You
and
back in.
Sorry. Anyway, no. Did someone say up the raw? No, I didn't hear it. Anyway.
It's a few hundred. It would take literally 300 years
What's the RA,
to get all the people here unlawfully to Rwanda.
So they're going to stay here. If elected, what would you do?
What would you do with them?
So at the moment, they're not being processed. So they're sitting in hotels, which you are all paying for. They're not processed, and as a result of not being processed, that means not a single one, even those that shouldn't be here, could be returned anywhere. So once they've got here under the Prime Minister's scheme, they're here for life. That's an absurd situation to have got into. So yes, we do need to process.
But what will you do with them?
We've got to process the claim. You're sitting there with tens of thousands of people. But just
when
let me finish.
illegal migrants come to our country,
thousands of people
what will
who
you do
haven't
with them?
processed their claims.
Okay, but what are you going to do with them, you prat? You're only sending fucking 150 or whatever to Rwanda. What the fuck are you going to do with the other tens of thousands? What's your fucking plan? I mean, you are literally the Prime Minister, at least for the next 7 days, and no more.
His plan is to keep spaffing away money on the hotels. Of course, hotels specifically in working class or poorer constituencies to try and foment the fucking race war that these rightoids clearly wanted to be in this country. And I was like, yeah, there's no migrant processing centres in Kensington and Chelsea, are there?
No.
I wonder why. Oh, no, not in Richmond and Northallerton. Well, how surprising.
Did you see, talking of Richmond, his seat, not Richmond, London, by the way, people, Richmond in Yorkshire, did you see the people who got arrested for breaking into his estate? Yeah, one of them was literally arrested for having filmed themselves taking a shit in his lake.
They did indeed do that. What an absolute king shit. That was a king shit.
That was a kingship manoeuvre, and I appreciate it. If that person wants to reveal themselves to the world, I will happily buy them a pint.
Absolutely, me too, 100%. But on top of that, it's just, I think Keir Starmer is 100% correct. He's 100% correct that the reason why that there's this problem with spaffing with money on hotels is a gigantic backlog of people not having their claims processed because austerity is stripped away. Of course, we won't use the A word because we're not allowed to use that apparently. But it's true. Like, that's why, we were processing double the number of claims during the Blair years when we had a properly funded system. And of course, if you spend money on having the claims processed, you'd spend less money on hotels, and you wouldn't have this societal discord. But the Tories want the societal discord because they want this conversation to happen.
Yeah, is the A word analingus? No? Okay. Thank you, Chris Darby, with 500 bits. Much love. Thank you, everyone, for the hypey hype train. Let's fucking go.
I can tell people what I will do with them. I will put them on planes to Rwanda because they shouldn't be able to.
Yeah, but that's less than 1% of the overall number, mate.
And the people who are already in the hotels are having their asylum claims processed. They're not going to Rwanda. It's new arrivals. Yeah. And it's not all of the new arrivals. It's fucking 300 of them. Yeah, from like 5 figures worth. This is so dumb.
It's nothing,
Yes. What will you do with illegal migrants who come to our country? What will you do with them? It's a simple question.
His plan is
what will you do with them?
Keir Starmer is such an ineffective twat that he's got he's got migranty face Prime Minister here, fucking, it's like making him look like the pro-migration guy. The fuck is going on here? You're an idiot, mate.
They need to be processed at the moment.
Processed?
They're not. These claims are not being processed.
What? Why is he laughing at the idea of fucking processing? This is mad.
To be clear,
he's terrible. Let's be real, right? Let's be real. Starmer's shit at this. Starmer's really shit at this.
Awful.
He's terrible at this. But again, the simple, you just talk about, like, you absolutely hammer Rishi Sunak on the hotels. Hammer on, because regardless of what you think about whether we should be lenient or whether we should be draconian in how we deal with asylum claims, I don't give a shit what side of the spectrum that you fall on. The massive amount of public money being spaffed on hotels is entirely a function of austerity eating away at having these claims processed, right? That's a fact, right? And everybody, regardless of background, if you are pro-migration, you think this is terrible because this is keeping these desperate people in limbo in pretty crappy conditions, packed in like sardines in hotels. And for others, you think this is money that we should be spending getting these people off, to Ascension Island, some processing center, right? But nobody wants them literally no one wants them in the hotels. So hammer away. It's free rhetorical win for you, Keir. What are you doing?
It's free real estate, god damn it.
Remain in this country.
At the moment, 100% of them are effectively being granted asylum in this country because they can't go anywhere. They can't go anywhere. They cannot. The Prime Minister knows this.
Let's just bash them with the fact that these are accepting asylum
because they're not being processed. They cannot be returned to where they came from. Can they, Prime Minister? If he wants to correct that, now's his chance to do it. They cannot be returned.
Well, do you know where these people come from?
No, he's not answering the question.
Do you know where they come from? Iran,
you can see.
Syria, Afghanistan. So when Keir Starmer says he's going to return people, is he going to sit down? Are you going to sit down with the Iranian ayatollahs? Are you going to try and do a deal with the Taliban? It's completely nonsensical what you are saying, right?
Okay, Rishi. So what you're saying is that these authoritarian regimes...
Look at this racist cunt, by the way, smiling his bollocks off. Get fucked, mate.
But it's incredible. He says, you can't do a deal with these tyrannical despots in Iran, Syria and Afghanistan. And I'm like, yes, they're tyrannical despots. That's why people are claiming asylum. This is why lots of their claims get accepted, and why they should be allowed to be able to claim asylum in the UK.
But Rishi wants to do wanted to do a deal with the tyrannical government of Libya. That was
Slave
fine.
market government.
Slave-
well done. Well
slave
done.
market
Well done.
aside, yeah.
Foreign Minister David Cameron. Well done for that one. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Lord Pigfucker.
Funny story. Funny story about the Libya. I think you probably do know this, Kev, but I don't know if chat knows this. But a funny story about the Libya invasion, the NATO invasion. Do you know the Manchester Arena bomber? That guy was armed and funded by the UK government to go fight amongst the rebels in Libya to overthrow
He was
Gaddafi.
indeed, yeah.
And used all of his training and learning to be able to help plan the Manchester Arena bombing because he got radicalized in Libya because of what NATO did to people in that country.
It's almost like we could have learned a lesson from our involvement, the West's involvement, I should say, in Afghanistan, and how that boomeranged back, or the way in which we've armed extremist militants in Syria and Iraq and Saudi Arabia.
Crazy. Also, thank you, Lewis, for the £5. Welcome back. Just came back from your hustings. Sean did good. You did good, as did our Greens. I knew that they would, actually. I was pretty certain Sean was going to be really good at hustings, but I just don't think he has the ground presence to get enough votes out to win. But I hope he does well, because I really like Sean.
You are taking people for fools, right? I think that these people should not stay in our country. They will be on planes to Rwanda. That's what I will do with them. You still can't answer the question.
Yeah, how are you going to get 50,000 to Rwanda, you cunt? You can't get 3.
Literally.
Will you send all the tens of
all
thousands
the illegal migrants who arrive will be processed and put on planes to Rwanda?
50,000.
All of them. That's an amazing claim. All of them. So 50,000 people are going to go to Rwanda. Where are they going to fucking stay? Have you told the Rwandan government? Because they're not expecting anywhere near that number.
Again, I look forward to the 50,000 council houses you're going to build, Rishi. It's a shame you can't build any in any of the fucking country that we're supposed to be spending the money on.
Yep.
Well, we could, right?
That is the choice for you.
We could build all of those as council houses for people in the UK currently in the private rented sector. Give them all council houses. Brilliant. 50,000 new private rented households for all of these asylum claims of the accepted. Yeah, go and get a job and go pay some British landlords. I'm sure they'll love it.
If you think illegal migrants should not be in our country, they should be sent somewhere else to build the deterrent. I will deliver for that for you. Do not surrender our borders to Keir Starmer and the Labour Party.
Surrender.
The situation will just get worse. We will become the soft touch of Europe. And as I said the other night, they are queuing up in Calais, waiting for a Keir Starmer to be in charge.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So you will send tens of thousands of people who are here and out of the asylum system at the moment. You are promising to send them all to Rwanda.
We will have a number of flights from July through to build this.
Hang on. No, that's not it. She said, are you going to send all of them? You said there will be a number of flights. Firstly, you can't even guarantee that. But secondly...
He's so fucking cursed. Oh my god.
50,000
This is awful.
Was the claim you just made, mate, that you're going to send there, and you can't send any there.
Deterrent. That's what I've always said. The principle here is I don't think people who come here should be able to stay. But look, Keir, you talk about this as if you care about the issue, but this is when you ran for the Labour leadership, which wasn't very long ago, you promised to protect free movement. You said you would close. You promised to close detention centres for illegal migrants, and you boasted in that letter of getting illegal migrants more welfare. Like, that's what you actually believe, and that's why you can't trust him on this issue.
I wish.
Yeah, I wish this was this. Because you know the fucking stories of like things like systematic sexual assault that happened in Yarl's Wood, which was specifically mentioned in Keir Starmer's pledge. This is the kind of grotesque shit that we really should have been stopping. But nope, brown people do not matter. Yeah, it's only sexual assault if it happens to a white person, actually.
Yes. And even then, it's only really sexual assault if it's not a Tory doing it, which really narrows it down, you know?
And again, it's also really important to point out as well, we have loads of refugees and asylum seekers in this country. Loads of refugees have been given the right to stay here. Do you know, they're all from fucking Ukraine and Hong Kong. I wonder fucking why, chat.
Well, Ukraine's white now for a bit at least, so...
Well, yeah, Ukraine's white and Hong Kong is a way of us sticking it to our geopolitical enemies over in China. That's it.
Ukraine's white enough for now.
It's true.
It might go back into the not white category again. It's permeable.
Yeah, that's what it took for Slavs to be treated as white. Them being compared to brown immigrants from the Middle East.
And they were attacked by people further to the east, which means they're browner, So in the brown
Yeah.
versus not brown, let's make them at least a bit white for now. We can take them in for a bit, and then when it becomes inconvenient, we can just shit on them and leave them and go, oh, they're brown anyway, so, you know, what are you going to do? Have you seen some of those? They're a bit husky. Come on now.
So I say it again, do not surrender our borders to the Labour Party.
I'm very clear that what we need to do here, we need to get our security of our borders back. They've lost control.
Stop
50,000
stuttering and
people have
mattering
come.
and
We've got
liven
to
yourself
smash
up.
the gangs that are doing this in
my
the first
God.
place.
Smash the
He
gangs. You know
groans
what? I really want to address this,
He
Michelle.
no, he
we passed a
groans.
law in Parliament. People back there.
Oh,
in mind,
McPhee's
right?
being
You're
fucking
right, we
slaughtered
do
here,
have to
isn't he?
smash the
Yeah,
gangs. What does
this
that
is really embarrassing, Kia. You've been made to look
Again,
a twat.
and he's literally in this position specifically because he's kowtowing to their rhetoric. So all Rishi Sunak needs to do is talk like a fucking demented racist madman, and Starmer can't keep up because he doesn't. I think he's not. He personally doesn't think that this is good. He's making these positions up for himself because he wants to think it'd be good politics. Is what I'm told to say. But Rishi Sunak, he knows what? I'll always go fucking further than you, mate. You know, don't play racist chicken with me. I'll win every time. And therefore, he's the playing chess with a pigeon, right? Just picking up all the pieces and pretending they've won.
Again, just to reiterate, we do racial integration so well that the 21st century Enoch Powell is a brown man.
There's a brown man and a brown woman and a black woman. I would trio of Enochs.
Honestly, we're so good at racism that we've trained people of colour to do our fascism for us. We are so good. Because you can't even attack them. Because they don't even have to do some of my best friends are brown. They can just say, literally, look at me. I can't be racist.
Yeah.
We passed a law in Parliament. We passed new laws so that our law enforcement agencies could use them. You know what? They've arrested 1,000 criminals and people smugglers. They've sentenced them to hundreds of years, exactly as you would expect us to do. That's what we did. Do you know what? The Labour Party voted against that law. So when you stand there and say smash the gangs, like on every other issue, you say one thing, you do another, you just don't know which Keir Starmer you're going to get. You can't trust him on this issue. Do not surrender our borders to him.
This is the difference between me and the Prime Minister. Before I did this job, I was running the Crown Prosecution.
I think he might be trying to make surrender a thing. I think he's trying to make a motif. Or he's literally just a fucking robot and they've programmed in the word surrender for this one.
Service. I was the Director of Public Prosecution.
Really?
And it was my responsibility.
That is a fucking game changer. Now I know he was that. Wow. Well, if his dad's a toolmaker, honestly, I might bust.
Take down criminal gangs on behalf of everybody in this room, everybody watching, to protect the country. So I know that this can be done. You share the data, the analysis, the intelligence. You have to have a strategy to arrest everybody at exactly the same time. You need to know what evidence is going to be used in which court, where, and which country is going to have a lead on the prosecution. We did it to take down really dangerous terrorist gangs. There was one terrorist gang that involved bringing down 9 planes in the Atlantic at the same time with bombs. That was one of the cases that I had to deal with as a prosecution.
It's a very different kind of threat, isn't it?
No, but these were very sophisticated terrorist gangs.
The question was
I had a very simple question.
I don't accept this can't be done for the gangs that are running.
So is this literally just a 2-on-1 debate now?
Yeah, literally.
It does
3-on-1 if you count the audience.
Yeah. It's pretty stacked.
Right now, there are criminals and people smugglers that are spending hundreds of years in our jails because of the laws that the Conservatives passed. When it came to it, the Labour Party opposed those laws. They voted against it. So when he's standing here before you tonight saying, yes, he cares about this, he's going to do about this, just look at his record. This is someone who defended free movement. He campaign against the deportation of foreign criminals. He can't be trusted on this issue. Do not surrender our borders to him.
Thank you both for your responses. And I'm going to turn now to our next question, which comes from...
She got slaughtered. She got slaughtered. Like,
you have both made lots of promises.
Okay.
We need to hear this.
Sorry, go on.
We need to hear this whole question in full because this is going to be very funny watching about all loads of promises stuff. It's going to be really funny watching Keir Starmer have to pretend that he's not the biggest fucking liar in politics.
Yeah. Also, which one of them's going to claim he's going to deport this guy first?
Hello, Lola Box with the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. How are you doing? Appreciate the raid. Welcome in. You're good to the Justice stream. We're talking UK politics. We're watching the debate between Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak, and we're both losing our fucking minds. So I hope you enjoy brain damage because you'll be having to deal with lots of it over the next... We're not even halfway through yet. Just about we're not even halfway through
Not
yet.
even
But
halfway.
please do, if you like, we talk. This New Justice stream. I'm here with Kevin Logan as well. If you like UK politics and that is interesting to you, I talk about UK politics 6 days a week. So please drop a sub and also go and give Kevin Logan some love as well, which is at Ploppy111 on YouTube and KF Logan 1875 over on Twitch.
But you haven't set out a clear plan to pay for those promises. Where is the money going to come from?
You both made lots of promises. You haven't set out a clear plan to pay for those promises. Where is the money going to come from, Rishi Sunak?
Well, actually, we talked about it, Mohammed,
Oh,
in Sue's
pause
question.
one sec, Kev, sorry.
I think
Morinaka says Lolabox wants to talk to me about the election and party before this. I will very absolutely happy to talk to Lolabox. Did he? You can shoot me a DM or I can shoot him a DM. That's fine.
I think it's right that we make savings from the welfare bill because it's forecast to grow at an unsustainable rate. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. Set out a comprehensive plan. You can go and have a look at it online. And those savings we will use to cut your taxes.
You spent that twice. It's already been said it's been spent twice by the Chancellor.
For everyone in work, we're going to continue cutting national insurance, £900 this year. For pensioners, we have the Triple Lock Plus. We will raise the allowance, delivering a tax cut for pensioners, making sure that the state pension is never subject to income tax. If you're a young couple wanting to buy your first home, we're effectively going to abolish stamp duty.
So, again, the tax on pensions that he is saying that he is cutting there is a tax that he is imposing on pensions because he is the one who froze the income bands through fiscal drag to ensure that it doesn't rise with inflation. Yeah. So that people get pulled into higher tax bands as things go up, as prices rise.
Drag.
That's why this fiscal drag. This is why pensioners are going to get taxed. You're not protecting them from taxes. You're protecting them from your taxes you are inflicting upon pensioners. And on top of that, he says, we're going to make sure you don't pay stamp duty on buying your first home. That only applies on certain homes anyway. And on top of that, right, this is just another demand side measure. It's just, again, when you're going to influence the supply, which of course you won't, because what you really care about is getting middle class people onto the housing ladder and not making housing cheaper for everybody. That's your swing voter base.
You have children, you're a family. We're going to expand the generosity of child benefit. Right? These are the tax cuts that I want to deliver. And if you're a small business owner or an entrepreneur, we're going to abolish national insurance for the self-employed. So those are the tax cuts. That's how we're going to pay for it. And that's the choice for you at this election.
No, you just said those are the tax cuts. You didn't say you were going to pay for it. You haven't said that at all.
No, you didn't. Yeah, exactly. There's £18 billion fiscal black hole. IFS have said it many times. And on top of that as well, he says, we're going to abolish national insurance for people who are self-employed. I mean, fine, I don't like national insurance. It's a payroll tax. I hate it. But this is currently our qualifying measure for your state pension. So what's going to happen? How are self-employed people going to qualify for the state pension if you've removed the qualifier from something that they have to opt into?
If you get rid of the NHS, people won't live long enough to need a pension.
Well, true. There's an issue with the Rick Mail sketch from the more things change, eh? The more they stay the same.
Yeah. It's the Alan Bastard party now.
Yeah.
Tax cuts with the Conservatives, or you can have thousands of pounds of tax rises under the Labour Party because he's simply not being straight with you about what is coming. Mark my words, your taxes are going up if he is in charge.
The fact that he keeps saying he's not being straight with you, is he secretly calling him gay? Is that a dog whistle? I don't know.
The cat boy transformation gas incoming as soon as Starmer takes charge.
Let's fucking go.
Keir Starmer.
False, but Mohammed, I'll answer your question. Everything in our manifesto so we've set out all of our plans. It's a manifesto for growing our economy, for creating wealth, to make sure our country is better off and that everybody within the country is better off. It's got clear columns setting out how much each of our plans is going to cost, and then a column saying where that money is going to come from, so that everything is fully costed and fully funded. We've got very strong fiscal rules because we want economic stability, which is what we've been missing in recent years.
And say strong and stable, Theresa. Go for it, man. Please.
The reason for that, Mohammed, because this is really, really important, is that we know what happens if unfunded tax cuts are made, because Liz Truss tried that experiment on the country. And we're all paying the price for that. And when she was elected as leader of the Conservative Party, Rishi Sunak said we should unite behind her. I don't think we should unite behind her. I think we should learn the lessons, which is why I'm not prepared to allow an incoming Labour government ever to inflict that kind of damage on people across the country because people are still paying the price. Many people on a mortgage now who've come off a fixed-rate mortgage are now paying hundreds
God, where's
of
Stephen
pounds more
Flynn?
because
Where's
of the damage
Stephen
done to the
Flynn?
economy. But Rishi Sunak hasn't learnt the lesson.
He's going to be on Question Time.
Oh, is he? I fucking
He
love
is,
it. Looking
yeah.
forward to that. I just need him to say public sector cuts with his rolled R's.
I was learning about that today. The rhotic R is what it's referred to as. Yeah. Also, I forget the name. It's got a fucking weird name. They add extra syllables into words just before they can't say purple burglar alarm. Because when they have a la sound, they add like an extra thing. So it just goes burglar la 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 la. You know, that's the thing, which is a hangover from Scots Gaelic into English.
Because his manifesto has got commitments in there that are unfunded. Because his Chancellor has said that the money he says he's going to use has already been spent. And everybody knows you can't spend the same money twice. So you're going to go round, if we have 5 more years of this, we're going to go round and round in circles.
Yes, but
we're going to end up exactly where we are.
Just before you respond, because each of you had a say on that, just before you respond, I'm going to make clear that Mohammed's not alone in thinking that neither of you have set out a clear plan to pay for your promises. The IFS think tank said this week that you are both your parties are ignoring raw facts, and that huge decisions need to be made, which in all likelihood will mean either higher taxes or worse public services.
Well, actually, the IFS also said that it's right to identify welfare as a challenge that needs to be addressed, and the IFS also acknowledged that when the Conservatives previously set
What's the
out savings
over-under,
that they would
right?
get from the welfare bill.
What's the over-under on the actual statement from the IFS was either the pension payments are too high, what are you going to do, when they talked about the welfare bill, or they were talking about the fact that it's too punitive and people are not being economically productive enough because we're too busy immiserating our own population. I wonder if that's what they were saying and not we need to cut more people with benefits. I mean, my assumption is
I
that they
don't
were talking
think.
about
I mean,
pensions,
I haven't read it word for word, but I don't think it literally implied that people with wheelchairs need to be beaten to death, which I think might actually be the Tory plan. I don't know.
True. So literally just raise VAT and kill the poor. It's just a Conservative Party platform nowadays.
Yeah, honestly, I think we look back on that skit and think to ourselves, Mitchell and Webb literally wrote the blueprint for this. They did the beam, and now we're fucked. Mad.
The IFS didn't think it would happen, and in fact they were delivered, and I'm sure BBC Verify will put that quote on their website. But look, 2 years ago, I warned repeatedly about what Liz Truss's economic policies would do to our country, even if it wasn't what people wanted to hear at the time. I was right then. And that's why you can trust me now. That's why you can trust me now when I say that the Labour Party's policies will mean all your taxes are going to go up by thousands.
Hang on, whoa. Let's say it's true that you were right about Liz Truss. What does that mean we can trust you about a claim that you've already been shown to be wrong about, that you're still making a month later? What are you on about? It's just... He's so desperately flailing. It's fucking embarrassing. And it's pathetic that Keir Starmer is losing this to the guy who's pathetically flailing.
Yeah.
Honestly, ironically, he's surrendering to Rishi Sunak. Bizarrely.
Yeah.
Of pounds. It is in their DNA. Mark my words. Your pension, your council tax, your home, your car, you name it, they will tax it, which is why he cannot rule out raising your taxes. He's been asked multiple times, will he change the council tax bands? He won't rule it out. I'll ask him again, but I'm going to tell you, do not surrender your family finances.
Jesus Christ, Rishi! Every 5 fucking seconds. surrender. Do they think this is a winning strategy? Honestly, I don't know who they're paying to do their fucking focus groups, but this is wank, mate.
I mean, again, it absolutely is desperation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just they've got nothing else. They've got, just like their the national service plan. It's just they're just coming up with whatever. I literally at the start of the thing I equated it to the happy bat people, I think was the phrase from in the thick of it, which they come up with on the fly, which wasn't meant to get out there. And it's like that. They just came out with it at fucking 2 a.m, probably coked up to fuck. They came up with this stupid idea about national service and ran with it, and then everyone went, what's the details then? We don't fucking know. Maybe they'll go into the army or something, or maybe one weekend a month they'll finger a dog. I don't know. What? Like it's just fucking madness. They have no idea what they're doing, and they have no plan because they've run out of steam completely. Austerity has absolutely gutted the country. They're despised, and they just need to fuck off forever.
Yep. True.
Let me address this directly, because the Prime Minister said he warned the country about Liz Truss and the damage that she was going to do to our economy. And then in the next breath,
I don't think, chat, that he's trying to do the evoke Churchill with never surrender. I think he's more like the kind of no surrender to the IRA type right-wing shite, that kind of thing. No surrender to the N-words was a phrase that was used a long time ago. Like, I think it's literally trying to be that. He's trying to get into that kind of mentality. I don't think he's trying to be Churchillian with it. Because Churchill didn't say, we'll fight them on the balance sheets. Like, it wasn't an economic thing he was saying.
Unite behind her and support her. Why on earth would you unite behind someone that you say was going to do that damage?
You know what it's like to fall in behind a leader of your party.
But he's repeating the...
Break glass in case of Corbyn.
Well, exactly, but that, look, he didn't...
Rent-free.
But that's how shit Sunak is, that he didn't make that point. The fucking Tory host made the point. Brilliant. Bravo. It literally is a 2-on-1 debate. And, I mean, well, it's two Tories against another Tory, bizarrely, but there we go.
Problem is repeating the problem. He said unite behind her. She's one of his candidates. And his election pitch to you seems to be, my predecessor, a Tory Prime Minister, broke the country, did huge economic damage, please vote Tory. Now, you're going to have to decide whether that's persuasive. He's now openly admitting the damage that the Tories have done to the economy and saying, please vote for him.
No,
that's the last thing we need in this country after the damage that's been done.
When it comes to the economy, I was right then. And since I've been your Prime Minister, inflation is back to normal, the economy's growing faster than our competitors, wages are rising, energy bills are falling, we've started cutting your taxes, and I will keep cutting your taxes. That is my pitch to you. That's a choice at this election. Their taxes that he wants to put up on you are coming.
Just passive-aggressive fucking sniping. Honestly, Putin's going to fucking eat him. He's going to actually devour Keir Starmer.
Like, actually, this was crazy as well, actually. I mean, obviously, I banged about wages earlier, but literally, we have had, like, 7 debates now, I think it is, or, like, debate or question and answer style sessions. Literally, at no point has anybody discussed what's happening with wages at all. No position at all. Nobody said, well, maybe we should change our labour market so that people earn more money and we have a closer gap between the high paid and the low paid. Not at all. It's not been mentioned at all by anybody. Not even the Green Party and the SNP have talked about this.
True, but neither's fucking Gaza. Ukraine's barely been mentioned, other than Nigel Farage being mental. Like, virtually nothing of real substance has been talked about. It's been mostly guff, to be honest.
And that's been my biggest criticism of Carla Denyer during the debate. So she talks about universal credit and the spending on public services, and this is all good. But they have good policy. They have good pro-trade union policy. They have a good minimum wage. I mean, I have criticisms, but I think that an increase in minimum wage is a really good thing. Like, they should be hammering home the fact that we have massive wage stagnation in this country as a result of lack of investment, which the Greens also have good policy about, with supply-side labour market reforms and removal of rights from trade unions and decreasing trade union membership. We should be hammering this home to people that, you know, your wages suck because people above you are being paid way more and dividends are being thrown out like they're fucking candy. That should be your money. It's stolen wages. Profits are stolen wages. Yep. This is what we should be banging on about, and it's not even touched the surface that maybe wages are a problem here.
Yep. Tax bans. Every pensioner that is watching should realise that under a future Labour government, for the first time...
he won't say that every teenager needs to vote Tory or whatever. He's literally just going after pensioners. It's literally just 50 and above. He's not even trying to win anyone else's vote.
Which, in the under 50s, right, in current polling, the under 50s, the Tories are in 5th. But under 50s, the Tories are in 5th place.
Who's 4th?
Reform UK.
Hang on. So Labour, Lib Dem, presumably Green?
No. Labour, Lib Dem. Oh yeah, sorry. Labour, Lib Dem, Reform UK, Green, Conservative. Yeah.
fuck me. In below 50, not below 30, below 50's like
Below
not
50.
Not super young, really. If you're losing the fucking 50-year-olds, Rishi, you're dead, mate. Oh, honestly, Comrade Sunak, has killed the Tory party, for which I am eternally grateful. Well done. Thank you.
Our country's history, the state pension will be subject to a retirement tax under Labour. That's what their plans are. Those are the numbers, black and white.
Don't scare them. They might have a heart attack and you'll have even fewer fucking voters, mate. Jesus Christ. You're lucky it's not winter, otherwise you'd be down to single-digit votes, let alone seats.
We're going to do that. We're going to have the triple lock plus. But
This
for
is
the millions
just
of
false.
pensioners that are watching, be very worried because you're going to face a retirement tax under the Labour Party.
Falsehoods. Just don't insult people by putting out falsehood. You
Which-
mentioned
which
the
one- which
IFS.
one?
He's just such a little knob. Like, have some fucking bollocks. Tell him you're talking shit. Like, again, I mean, I make the joke about Putin, but like, world leaders and business people who have lots of power, this prick is supposed to stand up to on our behalf. Honestly, he's going to get fucking chewed up and spat out of the UN. This is fucking tragic. If Rishi Sunak can fucking slap you about, or sorry, slap you in the shins, I guess, then like, the fucking what? Imagine Putin or fucking any of these crazy ass dictators. Fucking Xi Jinping is going to use you like a fucking cum sponge, mate. You've got nothing. It's tragic that this is the person that's going to fucking represent us on the world stage.
I mean, imagine being Xi Jinping. Imagine being Xi Jinping.
Laughing his bollocks off. Laughing
Yeah,
his
look
bollocks
at this. Look at the sixth biggest economy on the planet and going, like they have 5 prime ministers, 1,000 million home secretaries and chancellor of the exchequers over the last 14 years. And this terrible government that's a laughing stock is being led by somebody who is very happy to be able to mock openly the leader of the opposition who can't even hold his own against a over-promoted public school bellend, right? And it's just like, the world is mine for the taking. And in the White House, we've got a fucking, like, a literal, actual fucking deranged maniac in the form of Donald Trump, and somebody who cannot even string a fucking sentence together. Like, I welcome our Dengist overlords, chat.
Xi Jinping's like, I don't think they were even going to sell us the nuclear fucking power plants. I think we're just going to give it to us. I'm going to win it off him on a game of fucking 3-card brag at the UN or something. Just I'm literally gonna do fucking, I don't know, sit-ups against him or something, or fucking I don't know, thumb war. I'll get it off him in thumb war. Let's go. Like, it's just, it's so shit.
The thing is, it's like Solly talk about, like, people saying like the West has fallen. People say this all the time because, like, oh, we're degenerate. Oh, we've got too many brown people in the country.
No,
oh,
the degeneracy is
existing
awesome.
around me.
Love the degeneracy.
The West has fallen because we hollowed out our entire manufacturing base.
Yeah.
Allowed like China, Taiwan, Bangladesh to do all of the manufacturing in the world, whatever it is. And I'm like, yeah, there's a reason why we have this gigantic trade deficit, and we're relying on other countries, and we don't have any plan to rebuild this at all. I'm like, yeah, like, of course we're completely cucked out. Yeah, get ready, right? Get ready to exchange your pounds for renminbi, chat. It's coming.
Yes, I for one welcome the new British dong currency. Let's go. It's the yuan, isn't it? China. Dong is Vietnam. Anyway, you get the idea. It's all pseudo-communism. Anyway, what was I said? Someone said something in chat that I wanted to respond to, and I can't fucking see it now. God damn it.
Which one's the fault?
He keeps saying we're going to raise taxes.
Sorry, can you confirm?
He obviously has put a bet on interrupting me, hasn't he?
Will the state pension be subject to income tax under a future Labour government? The only way for it not is for you to match our triple lock plus. So maybe you can change policy here tonight. Will you match our triple lock plus?
I think Keir Starmer's gone into fucking stasis. He's not even responding to him now. I think he's gone into catatonia. It's just look, he's just ceased. Like fucking Starmer bot 404, brain not fucking found.
And ensure that state pension is never subject to income tax.
Yes
or no?
The position on the state pension that we've set out is exactly...
It's a yes or no.
Hang on, we need to hear this response.
I think you should show some respect to the audience who want to know what I've got to say about this without...
You are a bitch. That's the best you can come up with. He's absolutely slapping you about. And you're like, Could we have a bit more decorum, please, Mr. Sunak? Like, you don't deserve decorum. You deserve to be fucking pantsed and have your head pushed under the fucking water and swirled, mate. You deserve to be bullied. That's how shit you are at this. Fuck me.
Constantly being interrupted. It really isn't the way to do the debate.
What's the answer to the question about whether you'll match what they're going to do on pensions?
The position on pensioners and tax, or pensions on tax, that we've set out is exactly the same. It is the position of the government at their last budget. It is their position. The Prime Minister now says, oh, I'm going to change that. I'm going to change all that. When asked where the money is coming from, his Chancellor says the money is being spent, it isn't there. That is making the same mistake again. Can I just address the IFS point, though, because I think that is really
if you're
important.
A pensioner, you should know there is a retirement tax coming for you.
Why do you keep letting him talk over you, you fucking knob?
And why isn't he pointing out that that's his tax? That's Rishi Sunak's tax. Their fiscal drag is why it's a tax. Pensioners also already pay tax because you have private pensions as well. This is just specifically referring to the specific subgroup of pensioners who only receive the state pension. This is the subgroup he's referring to here. And he's just allowed. Like, Keir Starmer's such a fucking weak little cockboy bitch. He's just not allowed. He's not even bothering to try and debunk this point or explain what he's saying
Could you
here.
please be nice? Stop bullying me, Mr. Sunak. Jesus.
Capital R, capital T, if he is your Prime Minister.
He can promise
for the
10,
first time in our
20
country's
tax
history,
cuts. He can't
pensioners
tell us how
are going
he's
to be paying tax because he won't match our triple lock plus. If I'm your Prime Minister, that won't happen, and that's what I'll deliver for you. As I say it again, do not surrender your finances to their tax rises.
If you've got a very brief response, then I want to go to the next question.
Well, pensioners are not going to be better off with the Prime Minister who's making promises that he can't keep because they're not funded. That's exactly what Liz Truss got wrong. We cannot... There's one thing that we cannot repeat at this election. Please do not go back to Liz Truss Mark II with this Prime Minister because the same damage will follow. If you can't say...
Honestly, he looks like he's been bullied.
Yeah.
He looks cowed now. It's shit.
Well, I mean, that is true as well. As actually, the moderation here is the moderation here is also horrendous as well. You should be stopping him. She should be shutting this cunt up.
Yeah, no. Well, neither of them are any good, right? The moderator is obviously a Tory who just keeps letting it happen. But Keir Starmer's supposed to be wants to become Prime Minister. Don't let him fucking do it then. Have some fucking balls about you and just say no. Shut the fuck up a minute. I'm fucking speaking.
This is literally the fucking the I can be more racist than you. I can be way more racist than you moment.
Yeah.
Just fucking just shouting over some guy going, well, actually, I can see that you're a mongoloid. Yes, I am that. I'm proud of being that.
Yeah, I am a mongoloid. What? So what, Keir Cock? Like, yeah, it's that thing.
Yeah, so
who is the moderator? The moderator's name is Michelle Hussain, who is a well-known BBC newscast person. But also, I didn't realise their politics were as horrific as they clearly are. Again, just goes to show you, we get the best brown racists. Really, just superb.
The reason you can't fund it is because you think that you can't make a single penny
We've still got lots of topics to get through, so I'm going to turn to the next question.
That's why I can.
Thank you. This next question is from Karen Duran.
Good evening. I'm a children's nurse at a local hospital. I see families affected by libraries and children's centres closing. How will you help councils after Nottingham City Council has effectively gone bankrupt?
Thank you, Karen.
So what Karen's asking is, how can we cut more from local budgets? Keir Starmer. Like, it's that, you might as well, that's what she's done for every question so far.
And that's true. I mean, things it's reasonable to say we need to protect councils. But what Rishi Sunak's going to say is, oh, well, you can't just don't vote Labour at your local elections, as if there's not Tory councils going bust too. And there's people going to neglect to mention the 40% cut in council budgets since 2010. And on top of that, no one's going to mention the fact that some of these libraries and youth centres are closing. And guess who's buying those buildings off the council to pay for the budget cuts? It's fucking private equity firms who donate to the Conservative Party. £75 billion of public assets. That's stuff that you own at home. people watching there. People, your local authority owned these things. You owned those things. That's public property. It was being sold off because of the government's deliberate desire to squeeze council budgets. And on top of that, pile on a bunch of extra spending they have to spend on things like care, for example, and on top of that, paying for temporary accommodation to deal with the housing crisis caused by Conservative parties' failing housing policy.
And of course, let us not forget that Rishi Sunak, when he was Chancellor of the Exchequer, was secretly filmed bragging about how he'd taken money from poorer areas and giving it to richer areas.
Yep.
And the council here has been run by Labour since 1991. Keir Starmer.
Yes, and I'm very concerned about the situation because I think anybody looking at a council which has run out of money is concerned about the basic services, whether it's libraries or other support that councils have to put in place. And this is a position for councils of all political stripes. There are Conservative-run councils that have struggled for money and gone bankrupt as well because of the lack of adequate and proper structured funding from the government. You asked what we would do about it, and I think it is important for us to set out what we would do if we came into office. We would change the way the payments are made to councils. At the moment, council leaders are saying they're made on a yearly basis, so we can't make the most effective use of the money that's available to us. If they're on a longer term, we could make much better use of that. Secondly, they're saying if you could do what the Conservatives promised but didn't actually do, which is to stop no-fault evictions, that would have a massive help for councils as well. Because when people lose their home through no fault of their own, quite a lot of them end up having to have support of a local authority. I don't think you should have no-fault evictions. I think we should actually get on and get rid of them. That's what the Prime Minister used to say, but he doesn't do it.
On your point about council funding, a multi-year funding plan doesn't give more money necessarily, does it? So are you saying there is more money that would come to local authorities?
Are you suggesting that his tinkering around the edges won't actually solve any of the problems? Because you'd be correct in that, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
His non-solutions to every problem won't solve the problem.
Authorities under a Labour government?
If you go for a 3-year settlement, it means the available money can be used better because any council leader will tell you that trying to make the best use of the money within the constraints of a 12-month period doesn't work. So it's better use of existing money. But look, I'm not going to stand here and say there's some magic wand that I can wave the day after.
Hey, magic money tree! In a slightly different euphemism.
The election and find money that isn't there. Huge damage has been done to our economy. It is going to take time. That's why our manifesto is a manifesto for growing our economy, for creating wealth, to making sure that we...
Everyone who is subscribed to Helena, press the grow economy buttons. Emotes on the go.
The big red button. Again, this just shows you how pathetic Starmer is that he can't think on his feet. This is a man who talks for a living. He's a fucking barrister. Out here just repeating like NPC talks, going down dialogue trees rather than actually responding to any of the points raised.
Yeah.
Can make sure all of our public services, whether that's councils or others, are properly funded, providing the services that people, expect and actually, frankly, deserve, which is not the case at the moment.
Let's get Rishi Sunak's response. How will you help councils after Nottingham City Council's effectively gone bankrupt?
Yeah, Karen, my first job in government was being local government minister, so I was responsible for councils, and they do an extraordinary job. And much as people...
so you're literally part of the problem in helping cut local budgets, then, you piece of shit. That's not a good thing.
Focus on national politics. Actually, most politics is local. It's what's happening in your street, your neighbourhood, your community, and the services that you mentioned are so important, particularly those that concern families and children. One of the things that I do want to do is actually roll out family hubs, as we've been doing over the past few years, which are special places where whole families can come and get the advice and support they need, particularly the most vulnerable families. Again, in terms of funding councils, we've recently announced just over £500 million of extra funding for councils, particularly for social care, which is where some of the big pressures are, and children's services, which you alluded to, and we'll continue to work with councils to provide them the support they need.
£500 million spread between the dozens of councils. Want to buy them all a stapler, you cunt? Like, what the fuck point is that you're making? £500 million.
Nothing. Literally nothing.
Birmingham. I mean, regardless of its current financial problems, let's say it was on par, right? It's the largest council in Europe, unitary, because most big cities like Paris and London get split up, understandably. If you gave £500 million to Birmingham alone, it would do fuck all. Basically, it would do nothing. 500 million between the entirety of Britain, or possibly England and Wales, I'm not entirely sure what he's referring to, doesn't really matter. It amounts to the paperclip fund for the country. Look,
It's also very funny as well. Like they made this happen with dentistry too, where dentistry was falling apart because of austerity, just like councils are falling apart from austerity.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, we're going to have this piddly little extra pile of money that we could to fix the problem." And I'm just like, "Oh, so it is a problem with lack of funding, then, isn't it? Oh, and I'm glad you said it, because for 14 years you've been telling us we're going to find efficiency savings, or we're going to reform the sector, we're going to allow the private sector to fulfill the role. None of these things happened, and finally, after 14 years of shitty neoliberal austerity economics, they finally admitted, actually, we can just put more money into these things, we can fix these problems. Like, we should have done this fucking ages ago, shouldn't we? We've been in the drum for so long.
Yeah, true. But even then, the levelling up stuff, it was mainly councils bidding for like a building or something. Like, it was just, it's nothing. It's half measures at best. And then you get the amount of money that was pissed away on HS2 that's not even going to fucking happen now. Look, it's just, we're a broken country, and it all comes down to the right at the heart of governance. That frankly, a government class, be it of Labour or Tory or whoever, who fundamentally don't see it as the government's job to help the country. It's the government's job to aid rich bastards getting richer, and that's it.
Yep.
But you mentioned Nottingham, right? And that is a glimpse of the future, right? Nottingham City Council bankrupt under Labour. Birmingham City Council, the largest council in the country, in fact the largest in Europe, not just bankrupt, but as a result, everyone in Birmingham is now paying a 20% higher council tax bill.
Which,
and
by
that
the
is
way,
a snapshot.
You allowed that to happen because you had to, because it's literally the law, which you could have made them not do by giving them a loan, which they asked for.
Well, there was a plebiscite, wasn't there? Didn't you vote to have higher taxes?
No. Anyway, it's a complicated situation, but either way, it wouldn't have needed to happen if there hadn't been. So if they'd given the government had given them the loan, as well as all of the cuts they were already going to make on top of that. So they've had to find just ridiculous amounts of money. But also, Rishi, you little prick, that isn't just a Labour Party problem, because this goes back all the way to the 1960s because of underpaying of women for the same work as men. And so that also includes the times when the Tories were in power in Birmingham and the Tory Lib Dem coalition in the 2000s. You all did that. For decades you stacked up that debt. The invisible debt that no one knew was there, that all of a sudden we had to pay.
Yep.
Shot of what will happen if Keir Starmer is in power and across the country. As Labour always do, they run out of everyone's money, they bankrupt the economy in 2010, they bankrupted Birmingham, they bankrupted Nottingham, and that's why everyone in Birmingham is paying a 20% higher council tax. So that is just an appetizer of the higher taxes that are going to come under a future Labour government. Do not surrender your local council and our finances to them.
Okay. Councils like Woking and
I feel like I've got like the word surrender as tinnitus now. It's just bouncing around so much in my fucking head. It's ridiculous.
Were Conservative when similar problems first emerged?
What do you say about that? Conservative councils in exactly the same problem. What do you say about that? And I have to say, a Prime Minister gloating about the fact that councils are struggling and the impact that you know
higher council tax.
He's responsible.
You have to believe me, you can go and check as a result of their financial mismanagement.
Don't stop letting him talk.
The same
what are
thing
you doing?
happened in Nottingham, right? That's what you get with the Labour Party. You remember what happened?
This is like David
last time they
Lammy
were
and
in
Caroline
office.
Lucas
They run
again.
out of your money, they bankrupt the country, and you all pay for it in higher taxes. And that is the choice for you at this election. Right? We are making progress. The economy is growing. Taxes are now coming down. The financial security that you want, I can deliver. But if we put all that progress at risk,
Richard,
your family finances are going to get hammered.
Halfway
your
through.
taxes are going to get whacked
Like a really
up.
great point about like how dare Rishi talk about councils going bust when A, Tory councils are going bust too, and B, like your party is the one that's cut budgets by 40%. Like, he was halfway through like a good point that would defend himself, and he's like, no, I'm just gonna let belligerent little, like short man syndrome over here, like talk over me, and I'm just like, well, yeah, well, you deserve to fucking lose then, don't you?
Yeah.
Terrible moderation too.
Yep.
And that is the choice for you at this election. Do not surrender to their tax rises.
Jesus fucking
Thank you
Christ,
both. Just
surrender.
before we get
Can
to the
someone
next
count up
question-
the number of times he said surrender in this? Fucking hell.
And I'm
it's
going to
driving
remind
me up a
everyone
bastard
watching that we have got more questions coming in this prime ministerial debate, but online on the BBC live page you'll be able to see what BBC Verify are already doing. They're already fact-checking and assessing the claims made here and will continue to do so throughout the time we are on air. Our next question is from Robert Blackstock.
Good evening, gentlemen. Mr. Sunak, I think you made a fair job of being Chancellor, but you're a pretty mediocre Prime Minister.
Okay, you're a Tory then. Because if you think he was anything other than shit in both roles, then you don't represent the people. But okay, whatevs. Bruh.
Sir Keir, I think that your strings are being pulled by very senior members of the Labour Party. Are you two really the best we've got to be the next Prime Minister of our great country?
Now, I will apologise for the length of this rant, but so it's true, as you say, it is absolutely 100% true that Keir Starmer is having strings pulled by people behind the scenes. So for people who are unaware, there is a group called Labour Together that was funded by a bunch of hedge fund bankers, people from private equity, people with links to Israeli lobbying groups specifically, And it's actually this was the Israeli National Fund.
You've just had the whip removed from you. Anti-Semitic.
I really have, yeah, exactly. If we have a slip of the tongue there, but no, right. So people from hedge fund groups, from private equity, and one who's an Israeli lobbyist, it's Trevor Chin specifically, and this was headed by a man called Morgan McSweeney from 2017 until 2010. They literally approached him in 2017 to say, we want you to be the leader in future. We have this plan to be able to change the Labour Party, to be able to wrestle it back from the left. We want you to be that figurehead. And he has basically accepted it. He doesn't know anything about economics. He's been told what to say about economics by Lord Falconer, that they give him a crash course when he became leader in 2020. They developed a bunch of pledges that were deliberately there to be able to lie to the membership to get him elected into that position. And he is really, it's well known. It's been reported in the Times, New Statesman, it's in the Guardian, it's in there's been Tribune, this idea of people essentially be able to do all of his decisions for him in the background, very specifically. And this is all true. This is all true, right? This man is not asking about that, though. He thinks that his strings are being pulled by Angela Rayner or some Corbynite project that's going to spring forth once he gets into power and be all socialist, which is that's not going to happen. That's delusional, because this man in the audience is a right-winger. He's a right-winger.
Yeah.
And this question has made a lot of people very angry. So Lewis Goodall is a journalist for the News Agents podcast.
Yeah.
And he tweeted out, I have to say, I found it by far the least interesting question of the night and not entirely sure why it was put. What were they supposed to say? I think it was rude. Across the country, there is the most corrosive cynicism about politics. We can argue about why it's there, and it's justified sometimes, but it can also be reflexive and unfair. Not sure why we should laud and amplify it without good reason. Starmer and Sunak have their faults, but they're hardly bad candidates for the job. And I'm like, okay.
They're awful candidates for the fucking job.
They're terrible, and people think that they're terrible. In 2019, people thought that it was the worst election possibly ever in the liberal media circles, right? When actually, there was a plurality of the country who felt represented by the major parties. In 2024, 58% of people feel not represented, only 27% do. So actually, Sunak and Starmer are not representative of the broad public at large. They're absolutely not representative
Have you
at all.
considered that 100% of the people who write in newspapers feel represented? And that's all that
the
matters.
thing. That's the thing, right? Is that they get to set the narrative of what adults in the room looks like.
Yep.
Nicola Sturgeon, Johnson, Corbyn, all out of politics for good now. Like the real people who had huge amounts of popular support, gone, excised from politics forever because they believed in too many things. They didn't look sensible. They weren't the quote unquote adults in the room. Yep. And these people, right? These journalists, because they essentially only go on vibes only, don't understand that these people are charlatans and liars. They do not represent the political project that they were elected on. Rishi Sunak does not believe in anything in the manifesto from 2019, the interventionist manifesto that included things like HS2, things like climate change policy, things like a conversion therapy ban, things like increasing the benefits in line with inflation, things like building 40 new hospitals, loads of different things, a high-wage, high-skill economy that we were promised in the 2019 manifesto that he stood on. All of these promises gone. Completely removed from policy, off with him being anointed into his leadership position, coronated by the Parliamentary Conservative Party to then scrap everything that was promised. So people don't want what he's putting down. They don't want any of this neoliberal bullshit. Nobody ever did. They voted against that. Boris Johnson, who was an anti-austerity candidate, terrible candidate for a multitude of different reasons for who he is as a person and what he represents. But fundamentally, the economic policies were ones of ensuring that we reverse the decade of decline by building more things with intervention, whatever, right? Keir Starmer got elected into a position on things like bringing the NHS back into public
ethical case for socialism.
Literally, he described it himself as making the moral case for socialism. But this included things like increasing the top rate of tax on earners, getting rid of NHS privatisation and outsourcing, things like bringing rail, mail and energy and water all back into public ownership, ending tuition fees, even things like, for example, air-free movement as we leave the European Union. Loads of different promises like ending the House of Lords, which he just says he wants to appoint a bunch of new peers to help him pass legislation. He's lied and lied and lied, does not represent anything, and has gone further away on economics than a bunch of people wanted to be able to see happen. Sure, he's maybe moved back towards what a bunch of conservatives want, but not like a bunch of people who, 40% of the country voted for the Jeremy Corbyn manifesto in 2017. He's persona non grata now, right? And we have questions like, oh, well, will you denounce Jeremy Corbyn? 40% of the country supported that manifesto in 2017 on the basis of the kind of things he got elected into position on. We know that he's deceitful. We know that nobody supports what he believes. And yet, people in the fucking liberal media think that these people are just like competent, essentially competent leaders, being technocrats. People are fucking sick of technocrats in this country, and they bang on about all the populist phase is over. It's not going to go away. This populist surge doesn't just get squashed by people being excised from politics by a journalist cast who want to be able to remove them from that. And on top of this, the same people who share these opinions with these journalists are now going, oh, well, how dare you say things like, well, there's people pulling the strings. This is a terrible question to us. There is literally a soft coup in the background, funded by private equity, funded by lobbyists for other countries, funded by people from the venture capital sector, the enemies of the people, the venture capital and private equity markets, right? Hedge fund bankers, literally people who make money off nothing, who do not work, who do not contribute to this country, who are people who take value produced by working people, who the Labour Party is supposed to represent, who've done a soft coup of the Labour Party to turn them into One Nation Conservatives that Anna Soubry admitted herself in a letter to constituents in Brockdow and around the country, right? Yeah. This is the kind of party that they have now created. This was a soft coup in the background, and because these political actors can't be bothered criticising Starmer, where is this? It's been in a couple of newspapers, but actual journalists and commentators, they fucking silent on it. And now they're here criticising a man in the audience for daring to criticise politicians for being essentially nothing that the country wants, right? And saying, well, we're going to hold the public to account for their bad questioning of politicians. That's pathetic. You're journalists. It's your job to hold the politicians to account. It's your job to scrutinise the things that are going on in the background. It's your job to think, well, if the public is dissatisfied, well, that must mean there's something wrong with the politicians. No, let's blame the public. People are dissatisfied with the politicians. The public are wrong. The technocrats are back in charge. The adults back in the room. You are doing the wrong thing. You are making the wrong questions. You are doing the wrong inquiry. No, the journalists are doing the wrong fucking inquiry. It's your job to do inquiry, and all you're doing is being courtiers and stenographers for the establishment and who people have been put into positions of power with no mandate whatsoever. It's disgraceful. It's absolutely fucking disgraceful how little questioning our journalists will do of our elected officials when they lie and lie and lie and lie, which both of these people have done over and over again with complete impunity.
I will just say, as a counterbalance to that, as long as James O'Brien's happy, I'm happy. As long as Paul Mason is erect, I'm happy. Kill me.
Literally, Ian Dunn literally said, well, I can't believe they talk about people in the background. I'm like, it's been done. It's been widely reported on what Labour think ever and what they do.
Yeah. That was an exceptionally good rant. Someone clip it and ship it. What was I going to say? Oh, fuck's sake, I did have a point. And I can't fucking remember it now. Oh, yeah, sorry. I will agree and disagree with a part of what Lewis Goodall said. Firstly, fuck you. You don't get to decide what people think. If they want to ask that question, they can ask that question, right? If people don't like it, and statistically speaking, nobody likes these two pricks. They're two of the least popular people to have ever gotten into this position. Since, you know, such records began, of course. And secondly, I will just agree with him on one point. I'm not entirely sure why this was chosen to be asked, because what good answer can they possibly give? Like, the honest answer is, no, we're both shit. But they're obviously not going to say that. So, like, what can they actually say to that? What interesting policy can be elucidated? What element of their character that hasn't already been exposed to the population would have been exposed by this? It seems like a waste of time. He's perfectly entitled to it, and I think he's correct in some respects to ask the question, but why did the editors choose for that rather than talking about Palestine or low wages or whatever, any given number of the other things that haven't been mentioned so far?
Rishi Sunak.
Well, Rob, look, I can understand your frustration, everyone's frustration, because the last few years have not been easy. We've dealt with a lot as a country. I'm not saying we've got everything right. I certainly...
It's been pretty easy for you. I don't know that your kids went hungry. I don't know that you had to choose between heating and eating, or indeed having no choice whatsoever.
Oh, well, he went without Sky TV.
Ah, he did.
It's a gritty life on the Never Never.
Yeah. Can we have a whip round for him? I think, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's too late for us to give child Rishi Sunak Sky, but I think we can correct that mistake with adult Rishi Sunak. It's what the country owes him.
Would be the first to acknowledge that. But I've been your Prime Minister for 18 months. And in that time, we've got inflation down from 11% with all the damage it was doing to the cost of living back to target. The economy in the first quarter of this year, fastest growing in the G7. Wages rising faster than prices for almost a year now. And my primary job was to deliver that economic stability so I could start cutting your taxes. That is the journey we're now on. So whatever your other frustrations, the choice for you at this election is about the future. If you want lower taxes, if you want your borders secure, as Steve was asking before, if you want a sensible approach to net zero, if you want your pension protected with a triple lock plus, that is what I will do for you. Right? This is a serious election with consequences for you and your family. I get the frustrations, but think about the choice. Allow me to finish the job I've started, cut your taxes, protect your pension, secure our borders. Because if Keir Starmer and the Labour Party are in charge, your taxes are going up, our borders are going to be insecure, you're going to be saddled with bills as he reverses my net zero changes, and every pensioner is going to face a retirement tax for the first time in history. And that is the choice that you should have in your mind.
Keir Starmer.
Robert, Robert, earlier in my career, I worked in Northern Ireland with the police in Northern Ireland.
Fuck's... I'm gonna fucking scream if I hear this wanker say another fucking bingo bit. Jesus Christ.
Well, literally, he's gonna say, I worked with Northern Ireland. I said I would change it, and I changed it. He's then gonna say, I was director of public prosecutions. I said I would change the Crown Prosecution Service, and then I changed it. And then also became leader of the Labour Party. Said I would change it and make it fit for government, and then I changed it. He's gonna say that 'cause he said that like twice during the fucking Sky News Battle for Number 10 thing.
I also made a number of pledges when I was Labour Party, and I changed them too. You can trust
exactly.
me.
I had a bunch of values, right? I had a bunch of principles, but then I changed them for these other ones they've also got.
And if you don't like these ones, there are others that I can give you.
Yeah.
As part of the work out of the Good Friday Agreement, and with a team, I set out to change the police service in Northern Ireland to make sure it gained the confidence of all communities in Northern Ireland, which was a really important part of the peace process. So I said what we would do, and we delivered. I then ran the Crown Prosecution Service for 5 years with 7,000 staff. I said we would improve the way we dealt with violence against women and girls.
Helena.
I said we'd do it, we made the change, and we got on with it, and we made that change, and it was more successful at the end. I came into the Labour Party to lead it 4.5 years ago, and I said we will change our party to make sure that we are a party...
It's too good, too good.
Well, Mystic MTG going on here with looking into the future. Amazing. How could you possibly have picked it?
dietary.
Yeah.
An actual that I could predicted literally all of it. Literally all of it. Okay. Remember that was that moment where he said, "Well, change is what we'll be delivering, and I will be that change what we'll bring about." I'm just like, fuck out.
Yeah.
Empty vessel.
Credible
Making the most,
proposition
not even making the most
before
noise
country
though.
for changing the country, and that will always say, country first, party second.
Oh, for
Been there,
fuck's
I've done it, I've changed it. What I'm now asking for is the opportunity to change our country for the better, because we've had 14 pretty awful years. 14 years when I think most people would say we've ended up now with almost everything not working very well, worse than it was 14 years ago when this government came in. Most people not feeling better off. And this is a choice election, because if we go on for another 5 years of this under Rishi Sunak, that is not going to change. That isn't going to change. So this is the opportunity to turn the page, to rebuild our country, rebuild our public services, rebuild our economy, and make sure that we can genuinely say to ourselves we're a better country, better run, proper public services, and people feel better off. Now, I've done that sort of change.
Other people are better off, that they feel better off. Literally, he's just promising vibes. He's not even promising things will be better. He'll just maybe feel better.
Throughout my life, and I'm asking for the opportunity
I'm just going to come back to the question, because I suspect that Robert Blackstock knows your background. He certainly knows that you've been Chancellor. He's probably familiar with your arguments, and he still says, are you two really the best we've got to be the next Prime Minister of our great country? Now, polling does suggest that there's no great enthusiasm for either of you. Do you recognise that? Do you hear it on the campaign trail? Are you aware of that?
Michelle, that's what I said. I said to Rob, I recognise his frustrations.
It's more personal than that, isn't it? He's talking about both of you.
But there's a choice for everyone, right? There's a choice for everyone. Right? Keir Starmer talks about change. You don't get change unless you've got a plan to deliver change. Just saying it isn't going to bring about any change. And as you've heard tonight, there's no plan to cut your taxes, no plan to reform the welfare bill, no plan to deal with illegal migration, right? That's the reality of it. Yes, there will be change. It won't be change you like. It will be change when your taxes are going up, when we've become the soft touch of Europe for illegal migrants. When
This is really strong from... Imagine if this was a close election.
Yeah.
Keir would have absolutely turbo fucked it in this debate. He really would have done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's honestly, this is shambolic. And like I say, had this been a knife-edge election, these two debate performances might have tanked it, yeah. Genuinely, he's fucking awful. So bad.
First time. That's the change that is coming. So don't surrender to that, because your families are going to pay the price.
Don't surrender.
I think this question of enthusiasm is really important that you put to us, because I'm not surprised that after 14 years of this, people feel that the hope's been beaten out of them, because the country...
Yeah, but you've literally said you're not going to offer any hope. No hope is better than false hope, am I right? Also, if he's so shit, why wouldn't people be enthusiastic about you? Surely that gives you more fertile ground for people to like you.
Yeah, quite.
But people still think you're a tool. Ironically made by your dad. Yeah, you're hated, Keir, because you're not going to do anything, and you're just a suit. You're just a glove puppet for Morgan McSweeney and McFadden. That's it.
Yep.
Is in such a state. They've had loads of promises made to them at the last election about what would happen, which haven't been delivered on. That does beat the hope out of people. The very first question was about integrity in politics, and again, people haven't seen that integrity. You've had Partygate, you've had the breach of COVID rules, you've had the contracts for COVID, the instinct of some people to think the first thing in COVID I'm going to do is try to make money. Same with the Gambling Commission nonsense over the last few weeks. So this is an opportunity to restore that hope. I don't think we can do that by making sort of grand promises of things that can't be delivered. I think it's the ordinary hope of working people. My family was working class. The ordinary hope of getting on yourself, getting on for your family, getting on for your community, and getting on for your country. It has to be rooted, if we're going to restore hope, in my view, in returning politics to service. The sense that you come into politics to serve.
Who's clapping this fucking pablum? He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything of worth, note. There was no policy. There was no intent. It's nothing, and yet dickheads are clapping it. I want to fucking... terms of those preclude me from saying the naughtier thing, but I'll just say I want to have a very strong word with these people and ask them what's fucking wrong with them.
That's what I hate about this is they keep saying things like, "Oh, we want to do country first, party second." I'm like, well, if you've joined a political party, surely you've done so because you agree with the ideological goals of that particular political party, and you agree with it because you think it makes the country better. You can't be country first, party second, because if you join a political party, surely you believe that that party is indeed what is good for the country. So putting the party first is what is about putting the country first. It's complete. It literally makes it's a nonsensical phrase. It's just like saying I'm pragmatic but not ideological. But yeah, well, your ideology informs you in what is or is not pragmatic. You will be pragmatic within the realm of what you ideologically believe. In the same way that a pragmatic conservative will do pragmatic steps to make inequality worse, and a pragmatic leftist will make practical steps to make inequality better, or make equality better, right? That's because these are ideological beliefs that they have, and take pragmatic steps to create that future. This makes no fucking sense. Thank you, Zakap, for the Raider 52. Welcome in. Stream with Kevin, as you know.
Yeah. Also, Ian in YouTube chat, why are you comparing my viewing figures to those of ITV? Like, yeah, obviously I don't have as many viewers. What the fuck are you talking about? Jesus Christ. Some people are fucking weird, man.
Okay, and on that note, our next question, which is from Rachel Webster.
Good evening. How can I ensure that if I vote for either of you two men, you'll put women's interests first?
Oh, here we go.
Satan didn't mention trans, but you know it's coming.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it's coming. It's coming. Brace yourselves. Brace for impact.
Keir Starmer.
Thank you very much for that question. I have in my team as partners with me
prosecuted
very,
people
very good,
for
strong
sexual assault as members of the Crown Prosecution Service.
Well, certain people who are guilty of sexual assault.
True. It's not really funny.
He certainly, let's say, he went into the Crown Prosecution Service and fixed it. That's all I'll say.
Would be the first
fixed it for somebody.
If we're elected into government. She worked, as you know, in the Bank of England.
Dear Sir Keith, could you fix it for me to not go to prison forever because I'm an evil bastard?
And is very, very keen and
It's
strong
rare you get to
on
whip.
the fiscal rules.
It's rare you get to whip out the Jimmy Savile impersonation nowadays, but I think that was suitable actually.
Yeah, I do.
It's a rare one. I mean, you're going to have to cut that one out from the VOD. No doubt about it, but
to do for our economy. I've got Angela Rayner, my deputy, who again has an incredible background, coming from a difficult background, where was a care worker for many years, and now deputy leader of my party. And I'm very proud of her. And these people, and there are plenty of others, Yvette Cooper, Bridget Phillipson, you name it, really good, strong women who'll be part of my team. I think that leadership is about empowering your team and making sure it's a team on the pitch that are all batting and
this guy beat
together.
3 women to be leader of the party.
True. And actually, Rishi lost to a woman and a lettuce, which just goes to show you he is the better of the feminists here, when you think about it.
Yeah.
And that's the way I lead, not suggesting for a moment that I'm the one with all the answers, but knowing
also,
that
Keith, you've mentioned women here and you haven't talked about vaginas once. What the fuck is
True.
wrong with you?
How do we know you know what a woman is if you're not going to explicitly say man have PP, women have vagu? Like...
Exactly, and you haven't even mentioned Tony Blair at all in this answer. What's going on here, mate? Are you some sort of leftoid? It's communism.
I lead my team and bring my team into this, and we work as a team and will serve as a team if we get the opportunity to do so. I will do it with some really fantastic, wonderful women who have been on this journey for me for 4.5 years, changing our party to put it before the country with that, essential principle.
She's still saying nothing.
Yep.
Rishi Sunak.
Why are you clapping? You said fuck all.
Ensure you'd put women's interests first.
Yeah, so I didn't catch...
Rachel.
Rachel.
Well, you were definitely fucking listening then, mate. You were definitely listening to the woman then, yeah? Okay, cool.
Probably the easiest thing I can tell you is that I have 2 young daughters. And that's why you can trust me, because as a...
Because my wife gave birth to 2 little people. Okay, mate. Well done.
Dad, first and foremost, rather than a politician or prime minister. I want them to grow up in a country which is safe for them when they become teenagers and can walk around on their own, making sure that we have the right police on the streets, that our communities are safe for women and girls is really important to me.
I hear Beverly Hills is actually very safe.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that they have the health that they need, and that's why we've been making changes to things like HRT and maternity care in hospitals. But I also want to make sure that when they grow up and have jobs and start a family that they're supported too.
What about if they're sexually assaulted, and even if they get a conviction of their sexual assaulter, you still wouldn't send them to prison? Because fuck it, we need to actually have prisons to send them to.
True.
You evil fucking ghoulish cuntbag.
Which is why we're rolling out 30 hours of free childcare for every working parent from the time that their little one is 9 months old to when the toddler goes off to school at 4 years, and that will make a big difference to families up and down the country. But that's why I said, so I can go into lots more policies, but I want my girls to grow up in a country where the sky is the limit for their ambitions. There is nothing that they can't do because they're women, and that's the kind of place that I believe in.
I'm going to bring in a related question,
what's he doing?
because this came to us.
Yeah.
That's not the brief that he was given on this, surely.
Exactly. You didn't even ask Keir Starmer what a woman was. What's going on here?
Via the BBC's Your Voice, Your Vote website. It was from Vicky in Oxfordshire who asks this: will you protect women's
There
right
we go.
to single-sex space?
Literally, someone from the audience didn't even ask it. The BBC were desperate, because we all know that's fucking riddled with TERFs, right?
Yeah.
They were desperate to get the trans angle in.
Yep. So the audience member didn't mention it, even though it was an open goal. Even Rishi Sunak didn't mention it. Tory host went, "Now we're getting some TERF shit in. Fuck you." Anyway, which one of you hates trans more? Go.
From any and all males, regardless of if they hold a GRC, a gender recognition.
Jesus, they're going full TERF.
That's really is full crazy TERF. Shit.
Yeah, this is exactly this is the line that the TERFs want people to cross and just say, no matter what position you're in, you will never ever be treated as anything other than your sex assigned at birth, right?
Yeah.
In any kind of official capacity.
Yes, unequivocally, and we will do that by changing the law so that the Old Equalities Act recognises that sex.
How are you going to enforce any of this?
Genital inspection time.
Yep.
Let's go.
Literally, you can have some sort of cock bouncer outside of each and every toilet in the country, outside each and every changing room in the country, because there's literally nothing to stop cis men just going in there now. Under the
nothing to
current
stop,
laws.
not to stop cisgender men saying, I'm a transgender man. I was assigned female at birth, but you've told me I have to go into the changing room or the bathroom that matches my sex assigned at birth. So you literally have to genital inspect people to be able to know this, or just have passport control for the fucking bog.
Yeah. Also, that means that Buck Angel's gonna have to go into the women's changing rooms.
Yes,
which I'm sure will make those cis women feel very safe having a fucking rippled, muscly old fucking beardy cunt in there. Definitely, very normal.
I'm surprised they didn't say this question's coming from Joanne in Edinburgh.
Exactly, yeah. And good luck to Blair White. I'll see her at the stalls. You fucking idiots.
Means biological sex, and that will allow us to deliver on what Vicky wants, which is to protect female-only spaces, female-only services. It's crystal clear for you there is a choice on that question at this election, because Keir Starmer is not matched my pledge to reform the Equalities Act to pass new law. That is the only way to deliver.
So whack. Like, gender recognition was absolutely fine when Theresa May was Prime Minister. It was even fine when fucking Boris Johnson was Prime Minister. And now,
Boris Johnson was the one who wanted to protect trans people from conversion therapy.
Yeah. Now culture war brain rot is setting because there's literally nothing else for them to go on. So all of a sudden, Old Faithful, transoids. Well, fucking hell.
On what Vicky says, and the reason he won't do that, I don't know, but he can explain, is because he's not sure, like I am, that when it comes to these matters, sex means biological sex, and that's how you protect female.
Right, but what's that got to do with gender, you dopey cunt? It's not called the fucking Sex Recognition Act, is it? You're not reforming sex at all. You fucking moron. Hello there, James from the internet. Hello there, everyone. Welcome in, Raiderinos. Everyone go and follow James, otherwise I will fuck you up. But in a nice way. We're watching some Brit Bongarino stuff. Don't worry, if you hate Britain, nowhere fucking near as much as either I or my co-hostess with the co-mostess. No Justice MTG. Who you should also go and follow. Can one of the mods give a shout out there? Yes. We also hate them even more now, having watched this and knowing that the majority of people will vote for one of these two. I'm going to say humans. I'm not entirely convinced that's true, but for now, humans that you see on stage here.
They're perfectly capable candidates, Kevin, according to Lewis Goodall.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The alien space lizard theory seems less likely because I think the alien space lizards would put more time into pretending to be like actual humans than these two freaks. So I think they're just incompetent humans, unfortunately. There you go. Hello, Fuzzy Simba. I agree. I agree with that first comment. Thank you.
Only spaces and services.
Keir Starmer?
Oh yeah, hit the follow button and all that.
Also, by the way, if you're enjoying the content,
Yes,
you
is
can
the answer to the
subscribe,
question.
bits, Prime subs, memberships on YouTube, and you gift memberships to your fellow YouTube viewers as well.
Yeah.
Need to make up for my week off of work, so if you want to gift
those.
some memberships, that'd be really
do all of those
appreciated.
things. Yeah. I'm giving it the big sell, screaming, just hit the follow button or something over the fucking video. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very important that we protect women's spaces. I saw this firsthand when I was chief prosecutor back in 2008 and 2013.
Oh,
I was working with groups who
Kia, I'm going to actually fucking go mental. My brain is going to explode. The bingo thing was cute, but it's not even sport anymore. It was funny 2 years ago, mate. Come up with any new... You can't just say my dad's a tool maker when you're Prime Minister, you know. You have to actually fucking say things. You have to, like, do policies and explain them to people and, like, do you imagine that? He goes into the G7 meeting and they're like, oh, so, you know, what about this, that and the other? My dad was a tool maker. What? What are you talking about? My mum worked in the NHS. Beep boop.
supportive of women who've been subjected to domestic violence and sexual violence, and saw for myself just how important it is to have those women's spaces. Same in hospitals and in sport. So yes to that answer.
Thank you, the 5 gifts.
What I will also say is that I do recognise that there are a small number of people who are born into a gender that they don't identify with, and I will treat them, as I treat all human beings, with dignity and respect. And I'll tell you for why. I'll tell you for what.
There was a whoop. This is not America.
I
appreciate the sentiment behind the whoop, but please, this is not America. Let's keep our standards a little higher.
Well, at least the one whoop that we've had is for I won't like, you know, again, tie up trans people in bin bags and throw them in rivers, like, you know. But at least I'll take that as the most insignificant win possible. There was a whoop when he said I won't be nasty to trans people rhetorically. Policy-wise, he'll do Section 28 and change the laws, make it harder for us to transition, and implement like awful recommendations of the Cass Review in full with no scrutiny of the bad parts of that. Because, you know, being cruel by policy is something that's fine. It's only when you're nasty with words that it's bad.
Do we think that Green Top here might be a bit of a turf? I'm getting some body language signals from her that she might not like him saying trans people are humans, actually.
Yeah.
There's a vibe there, certainly.
Why? Because if you don't, you end up with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom standing in Parliament making an anti-trans joke in front of the mother of a murdered trans teenager. I will never, ever...
The fuck was that reaction from the crowd? I presume
it sounds like someone got shot.
Yeah, that was really weird. I've thought that at the time. And then, like, I presume because he's giving a shout out to Brianna Jai that's like supportive, I guess. But it's just a very weirdly timed, like, again, the whoop. I was sort of joking. You can whoop, that's fine, whatever. But like that seems like a very inappropriate response to the actual thing being discussed.
Yeah,
just
dignified applause for
Yeah.
the I won't make jokes about dead children. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm good. I'm glad that you're not
like
going to do that.
when talking about
Excellent. Step up, right?
murdered children, I don't know that the whoop is it looks like the elevated hand slap again, inappropriate. Like I appreciate the vibe behind it. I appreciate that you want us to be supportive, but sometimes, you know, discretion is the better part of valor.
Allow myself to be put into that
Rishi
position.
Sunak, would you like to respond to that?
Again, it's a bit weird.
It is a bit weird.
That's not what I
So
did.
even
I was
people
pointing
turning
out
around
that
to look
you've
where the
changed
whoop
your
is.
mind on this question.
Yeah,
Well,
because it does. Is this the stiff upper lip thing? With Americans wouldn't give a fuck, would they? Like it just feels a bit fucking mental to whoop at that point.
times. But to answer Vicky's question, you can't deliver on what Vicky wants. So everyone who does want female spaces protected has to be prepared to change the laws that the Equalities Act recognises that sex means biological sex. It's pretty straightforward. Now, Keir Starmer says that he believes in that, but he won't change the law to do it. So he's not being straight with you again. Right? Saying
The
one
law
thing
currently
and doing
allows you to do
another,
that, right?
you won't
It's really
change the
important
law
that people
to
understand this. Really important to understand that there are already provisions in the Equality Act to bar trans women access to certain women's spaces, but only if that there is a reasonable precedent, a reasonable reason why one would want to do that, right? And I think this is fine. Like, it's fine to say that, you know, that's why this cis-only women's refuge exists, right? And I get it. You want to be able to have that opinion. There are transfer people who don't want to be in women's shelters that would feel triggered if they found a trans woman there. Whatever, that's fine. You just can't blanket ban them from all of them, and you have to give like special. You have to actually apply for like the special exemption on these things, and that's a system that works. It's a system that works absolutely fine, and I don't want to change that. But what Rishi Sunak wants to do is change the Equality Act so all trans women are banned from all women's spaces. And again, this is completely unworkable because it requires either passport control or genital inspection.
Well, that's why I don't think it will actually be passed, or if it is, it will be instantly challenged, because how would that be enforced? Literally, it's unenforceable because you'd need...
pants people.
Yeah,
like,
you need fucking minge inspectors. Like, it's just... It's mental. It obviously cannot possibly work. There are more fucking toilets than we would possibly be able to have staff for, and of course that's just a fucking abuse charter waiting to happen, giving access to people. Look, trust me, I work in the security industry, kind of anyway, as previously discussed. There are people I would not trust to tie shoelaces, let alone look at other people's junk on demand. No, not at all, not for a second.
Recognise that sex means biological sex, so you cannot say to Vicky and everyone else who cares about this issue that you will actually ensure that their spaces are protected.
If he'd been in as many support centres that I've been in for those that have survived sexual violence and domestic violence, he would know very well it is possible to do it. It is being done. I've supported it being done when I was Chief Prosecutor. I've always believed in that principle of women's spaces. That's going back to 2008,
Actually,
way before...
you know what just occurs to me? The TERF thing is very much in line with regular conservative thinking, which is not surprising given they are conservatives, of course. But conservatives basically believe that laws apply to other people. It's not for them.
Yep.
The law of the boot of the state is to be put on the neck of other people, not them. So they'll do like, we want zero tolerance policing, and then get annoyed for getting a speeding fine for going 36 in a 30 zone. You know, that sort of thing. And this is exactly the point with TERFs. They don't realise that the thing they're asking for would make their daily experience of being a woman so much worse. Because you'd have to get your minge out on command in wanting to go for a shit in public, right? You'd have to... every single public convenience would be an enormously intrusive medical examination, basically.
Also,
in order for this to possibly work.
And also on top of that, what it will lead to is butch women getting accosted for being too masculine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's like, it could also be used to be exploited by cisgender men just to say, I'm a transgender man. I was assigned female at birth. You know, you either have to pants me to check, or I'm going to be allowed to let in. And do you have any argument to this?
Yeah, and also like, you've gone for a piss with a trans person before. You didn't know, and it didn't bother you. It didn't affect you in the slightest, because you both just went for a piss and or shit and then left. You've allowed a weird fucking mental block to occur in your head that you think that's the problem for some reason, even though none of them seem to be able to point to any examples where trans people were the problem. Virtually every woman, be it cis or trans or non-binary or whatever, can tell you of a cis man that fucking abused them. Virtually every one of them can. But yet you want to make it easier for cis men to be able to abuse you? Like, literally fucking Posey Barker literally said she wanted cis men with guns to go into women's toilets. That's a rapist charter. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Fucking idiocy. And it's not, again, not to sound too much like Bowler Man, but this actually isn't an issue.
Yeah, quite.
This latest iteration of the debate, because I could recognise for myself just how important it was to have that space, women-only space, biological women-only space, particularly in that area, but also in other areas.
How do you ensure it? Just a second. I mean, Rishi Sunak, how do you ensure it without changing the Equalities
It's provided
Act?
for under the Equality Act. It is actually spelled
Why
out.
aren't you asking Rishi Sunak how this would be fucking accomplished? His is the most ludicrously fucking unworkable answer ever. Unless our new boom economy is going to be half the population is now a bouncer for genitals. Which is, again, not workable. It's ridiculous. Or we just stop all public convenience. You just have to wait until you get home. You can't piss and shit anywhere else but your own fucking house.
One of the examples given in the Act, it always has been. And fabricating a difference here in a situation where actually we should be trying to find common ground and work together. Well, I'm proud of the record of my party on women's rights. We've done amazing things in terms of equality under Labour governments, made a massive difference to millions of lives. There's much more work to do on women's equality going forward. But the only way I think we can make that progress is if we change the way that we do politics, stop this business of always trying to divide everybody, and actually use the opportunity of leadership, which is what I would do, to say the job of the leader of the country is to bring people together. These are difficult discussions, different opinions, of course, but the role of the leader of the country is to bring that together so that the country itself is less divided. One of the issues for me is with sadness, is the fact that over the last 14 years, there's been this tendency on almost every issue to try to find the points of difference and division, rather than doing what we're actually really good at as a country, which is bringing people together.
But ironically, this is the only area where you do seem to have any kind of difference at all. And again, it's slim, but like, it is one of the few areas where you aren't in absolute lockstep with one another.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
You know, I mean, they're shit as well, don't get me wrong, but they're not like, let's mince trans people shit. So that's something, I guess.
This is about the courage of your convictions and principles. Right? I believe when it comes to these matters, sex means biological sex. Of course we should have compassion and tolerance for people who are going through...
And the very annoying thing is that Rishi Sunak doesn't care about this. Rishi Sunak, before they needed a culture war issue as a fucking wedge, he's never talked about this. He's never really given a fuck about this. He didn't rebel against the gender recognition stuff when he was a Tory backbencher. He doesn't care about this topic at all.
No,
it's just he's prepared to throw some of the most vulnerable people under the bus under the country. Under the bus.
The bus.
Fuck mate. Anyway, for political, well, not even political gain, just to avoid absolute wipeout.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Like, it's really some of the shoddiest politics I've ever seen, and that includes even austerity, really. Just morally bankrupt beyond belief.
Questioning that, but fundamentally, when it comes to women's safety, women's only spaces, sex means biological sex for me. That is the only way to make sure you can deliver the protections that Vicky wants. And on this question, Keir Starmer, when one of his own female MPs made that point a while ago, he said that she was wrong. She was hounded.
Should have had the whip removed from her. Yeah, fuck you.
I mean, yeah, she liked a tweet that said that trans people weren't victims during the Holocaust. Like,
he's a little bit Holocaust denier, which again would be anti-Semitic if he was on the left. But thankfully she's not.
I mean,
so
she
it's
got it,
fine.
but she's been investigated for both transphobia and anti-Semitism by the NEC and has been cleared of it. And those are the arbiters. So who are we to disagree?
Well, no, because if she was on the left, it would have been anti-Semitic. But thankfully she isn't, so she just gets to say anything. It's fine.
Right? He said she was wrong. Now, he's now changed his mind on that question, that it goes back to trust, it goes back to having the courage of your convictions. I get that not all of you will agree with my position, right? But I'm being clear with you. Sex means biological sex. You have to change the Equalities Act to deliver the security of women's spaces and women's services. That's what I believe the right thing for our country
Can
is.
you respond
And
to
if you
that
don't
point,
agree
which
with that, that's fine,
relates
but that's
to
what I will do.
one of your MPs?
Look, he looks beaten. And he's about to fucking become Prime Minister with a 400 majority. Like, look how fucking lost in the headlights he looks.
Yeah. Again, she remembers literally David Lammy.
Please, Rosie Duffield.
The Prime Minister knows perfectly well that this is all set out in the Equalities Act already. The specific instance of safe space, it's set out. Read the legislation. Look at the notes under the legislation. It's been there for years.
Like, also, Rishi, if that's the case, why, for the last 14 years, have you allowed women to exist in such a parlous, dangerous, reckless situation? Or it's actually fine and you're just lying? Actually?
Just use this as a political football to try to divide people across the country.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We'll move on to our next question, and this one is from Judy Waters.
Good evening, gents. I own a jazz vinyl record business with my partner. Post-Brexit, we have lost 90% of our business with Europe. How can we mend our broken trading relationship with Europe?
Okay. 90% of Julie's
Well, it's ironic given that these two are broken fucking records, really, but...
business with Europe has been
Boom.
lost.
You're
Now, Keir
welcome.
Starmer, you were a Remainer. Rishi Sunak, you argued and voted for leave. How can we mend our broken trading relationship with Europe?
Well, Julie, first of all, thank you for doing what you do. My mum was also a small business owner. I grew up in a family that had a family business. I know how hard it is. I know what...
Maybe if it was a bigger business, you could have ordered that fucking Sky. Fucking bitch.
The struggles are like, and our economy is built on people like you. And you deserve all our support and admiration and praise for doing what you are doing. I'm sorry things have been difficult. Right? We had the referendum, and now is focus should be on making sure we make the best of all the opportunities. In an economy-wide sense, we're actually doing very well now at exporting around the world. But in order to help you, I have two specific things that I can do that will help. One of them is to make sure that we cut your taxes on business rates.
Oh,
when I talk
for
to small
fuck's
retailers.
That's not a trading relationship with Europe.
It's
That was
got
the
nothing
question.
to do with it. Literally nothing to do with it. At all. We could have done that inside the European Union.
Yeah.
We could have gotten rid of
exactly.
business rates completely if we'd wanted to. But, you're a fucking knob, mate.
Retailers like yours, I think you said you had a premises.
And I'm going to cut taxes, and I'm going to make women's spaces safe. Boom. Europe pwned.
The thing that everyone talks to me about is business rates. That's why we've cut business rates for small retail, restaurants, pubs, shops across the country.
I agree. You know what?
And Labour on Wales.
Croatian War Master. Firstly, weird name, but we'll let it go. The EU is better with that than the UK. Yeah. It was why I literally supported the idea of us having a referendum in the first place, because we couldn't carry on the way it was. Either Britain had to fully commit to the European thing or get the fuck out. Like, you can't have this halfway house bullshit where we're holding everyone else back and acting like a fucking petulant child every time we want a slight increase in the fucking tax rebate or some dumb shit. It's just like you're either in or out.
Yeah.
And we left. And we're fucked for it, but at least a decision has been made and both sides can try and move on.
Well, I don't know about you, Kev. Are you bored of this debate now? It's just been so miserable. Do you move on to question time?
It is pretty bad, yeah. To be honest with you, I was over it an hour ago, but I just thought, I don't know.
Well, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound, I guess. And we got,
Yeah. Also,
So as we're doing question time, it's really worth pointing out that I'm going to have to move over to...
yeah. YouTube people, come and say hello to me on the Twitch machines, please.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, because we can't stream question time to Twitch.
Yeah.
To YouTube, sorry. You can only stream it to Twitch.
Yeah.
So I'm now going to post the Twitch link on my YouTube chat, in my YouTube chat. Please click on that link, YouTube viewers, to come and join us over in Twitch land to be able to continue watching what's
Yes.
happening on Question Time this
Especially
evening. With Stephen
you,
Quinn.
Ukrainian War Master. It's just a weird name, which could be innocent, but could also be soaked in blood. Who fucking knows? Everyone come over to Twitch.
As long as you're not a member of the Azov Battalion, we're good, right?
Well, that would be unlikely to be Croatian, I feel.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Oh, so you said Ukrainian. Sorry.
no, Croatian War Master. Which, given
Okay. So it's not a Starshade sympathizer then.
I would hope not. No. Anyway.
Yes, I'm gonna please click the link in to Twitch in my YouTube chat.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see the 3 former Yugoslav teams qualified for the European Championships, and I can't help but feel their team, if they were all together, would be fucking badass. Their third 11 qualified. Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so I'm gonna raid out on YouTube to Riverboat Jack. If you want to go and enjoy I believe it's the Trump-Biden debate that she's covering this evening, which is going on.
I'm going to be doing that later as well, but it doesn't kick off till 2 a.m. here, so whatever she's doing, it's not that yet.
Okay, well, she's preparing for it, but whatever. I'll raid you into Riverboat Jack anyway over on YouTube,
Yes,
but please just over on Twitch. Come join us to watch Question Time on Twitch. I've posted the link for you.
Customization, redirect, checkity check, Riverboat Jack. Save.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna end stream on YouTube now. See you over on Twitch. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Okay, I think. Am I off now? Hang on, let me just check restream. Otherwise, how will I possibly know if I'm off there?